Do the intro though.
Welcome to, I'm starting. Welcome to Cake with Kersey and Kinetic and Netty Nice tonight. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Here.
What's not going on? Gosh, it's like down to the wire here and just something. It's been a crazy day. But we're here. It is Tuesday, July 4th. It is the American Independence Day. Is that's the official term, right? Not July 4th. It's Independence Day. So
Yeah.
shout out to any
Yeah,
and all Americans that might be listening at your barbecues, your cookouts, your hangouts, wherever you are at this time of the night.
And I actually heard that there are quite a few African Americans not celebrating this day because they were black people were still enslaved when independence first happened. I don't
Uh-huh.
know.
I saw a funny post. Just um, okay, who's making all that noise? I saw a funny post earlier about that topic. I mean, it didn't really deal with it. It was just around it. I kind of made reference to it. But yeah, that's something I wanted to get into as well because we just celebrated 150 years here in Canada as a
Yes.
country. And although it's not exactly the same, but we have like all the Americas basically um, to be celebrating the the beginning or birth of a nation, considering that nations already existed, people already existed on the land. It's something that a lot of people do struggle with, and so we'll get into that because I wanted to ask you guys if you guys. I think we've touched on this before, but I did want to ask you about it as it pertains to us as well up here in Canada. You are hopefully listening to us on vexradio.com. If you want to invite a friend, tell somebody to join the conversation, just send them over to vexradio.com. And as usual, it'll be posted on the front page, or you could just check the cake link in the tab at the top of the page. And at some point, I will post the link. Hopefully, it's going to actually show up this week for everybody, and anybody who would like to join the conversation and give us your take on anything that we get into tonight. And if you're listening to the podcast, which is also available uh, the day after our live to air, which is every Tuesday night at 9, you can still leave a comment below the page or even on the YouTube page if that's how you choose to listen. And yeah, so interact with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on all the things that we get into here. Um, so how was the weekend for both of you guys? I know you guys both had crazy busy weekends. Kinetic, care to?
honestly, I'm exhausted. I had a full weekend of nothing but celebration and fun. I just actually and exactly what I did, and it was just a lot.
Okay, highlight of the
Barbecues,
weekend.
uh, huh?
Highlight of the weekend. What would
Mm,
be the or
Crave. Well, actually, no. Friday night was barbecue, like this like friends and fam kind of barbecue on Friday night.
Mhm.
So it was like we had the small one. Then so it was about maybe I don't know 10 of us. We just barbecued, so that was cool because we just pure jokes and drinking, and I mean it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah.
We
And
went to
then you
Crave,
mentioned okay.
and that was madness. That was a real fest. They really sorry about the background noise. I don't know
Yeah.
what's
There's static, there's background,
it's
there's
you. Yes, Natty, is
It's
that
not
you?
me.
Yeah,
I'm
there are a
clear.
lot of background static.
There's
and
background static on my side.
I don't know who it is, but it's definitely not me. Okay, we'll work around it. We'll try to listen through it. Okay.
Is that
Hello.
better?
Actually, I'll tell you who it is
Yeah,
because
yeah. I just turned off my mic.
yeah, it's you, Nettie. It's all you.
You can hear it now.
Yeah.
You're moving around a mic or
Sounds like
something.
you're
Yeah.
crawling through a tunnel or something.
No, I have Beats by Dre headset on, so
That
it
is
might be
not a
like.
good look. That's not a good ad right here.
Yeah.
No,
Everybody,
I'm not trying to do any advertising. I'm just saying that's what I'm wearing right now. So
no,
I'm
but
wondering if I should switch to my other ones.
now you sound.
Yes.
Now it's on what?
Yeah, maybe you need to switch. But that's what I'm saying. That's bad. That's bad press for for Beats by Dre. Unless you just
Beats
been
by
really rough with them. I don't know.
Let me know. Actually, that would have happened with mine the last time too. Remember when we first started, like earlier last year? Yeah. As soon as I
Okay, not
stopped.
cool. So
Yeah.
Crave,
So,
yeah, I think
anyways,
I've seen that.
yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine sent it, and then I asked him. He sent me the link. I asked him if he was going. He said no because he heard bad reviews of last year. So I was like, so
No, that's
why
what I
are
was
you
about to get
promoting?
to.
Yeah, I was like, why are you
Yeah.
promoting it then? And he's like, no, I was just putting it out to get feedback. But then I did see a couple of people post online, and it looked like everybody was having a good time. So it was a day party, right? A day
No,
all.
no. Listen, yeah, they all inclusive fed. It was all you can drink, all you can eat.
Hmm.
This time though, I like listen. He didn't. They've done it for 5 years.
Okay.
Last year I didn't go. Like I actually bought a ticket, but I didn't go because it was rained out. I just wasn't partying outside in the rain. It's a rain and shine event, but you know.
Yeah, yeah.
The year before that, they kind of sudded, but they really, I think they realized that the last two they had to come all out. They came with premium everything. You could not finish the alcohol. You could not finish the food. The crowd was right. It was an adult crowd. It was. I wouldn't say it was Trinidad all inclusive, but I would say that you didn't feel like you're in Canada.
Oh, wow. Nice.
They had tents set up. You didn't wait long, long time for alcohol. They were healthy with the alcohol. Like they poured it. It was flowing. The entrances, you didn't. There was no lineups. It was in a beautiful venue.
Look nice.
Ascot
Nice,
Park.
clean. Yeah. It looked like a
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It's like to be honest, it's like you should take. Oh, Nenny, for yourself, you should take people up there for wedding shots. It was beautiful up there. All enclosed. They had the tents up. It was, you know what, we were the right crowd. So even though it was all
Mhm.
inclusive, did the bottle service thing. So it was like, I mean, it was just they just did it right this year, and they restored my faith 100% in it, and what I mean, I totally enjoyed it. And
Oh,
then
Yeah, because that's what I heard
was
comments on the food, the liquor, and yeah, it was mainly that the person wasn't.
it was worth 150. I mean, 100. Well, $100 if you got early bird, 150, whatever it is. Because the way I look at it is, if you go out, I'm spending that anyway on a boat cruiser. I'm spending that anyway on a if you go out just to go to a regular night. By the time you pay admission to go into a place, and then park, gas, you buy a couple of drinks for your boys, you're already at 130. This is all you can drink and all you can eat for 100 bucks, $150.
See, I don't normally like. I haven't been out in a minute, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever spent that in a night. As far as far as
Well,
not
women
everybody's
usually
balling
don't
like
have to.
right?
no. Meaning as like for to get in and pay for drinks and even food
But women
after.
normally don't have to. You guys are
Yeah. Well, that's the
free life.
thing. That too. No, but even if I did buy myself a drink, um, it would never amount to that. So it's like, so when I hear that, but you know what? I mean, if the experience is nice and it's that type of vibe, but still $150, I think I might be like,
Oh well, think about it this way, right?
because I still would
You
have to drive to the venue. If I'm driving myself, I'd still
Yeah.
have to drive. So there's still gas. There's still, okay, maybe not parking
Well,
if
no,
they
you
have.
could Uber it. You could Uber it, or you're poor. But
I
what I'm
don't,
trying to say is that
I don't do Uber. But you
saying
pay,
at the
it
end,
doesn't matter. Even if you Uber it, you're still paying. You're not,
yeah,
the only free way is to walk. That's the only free way to get
yeah.
around.
Well,
But
no,
I
I
mean,
mean it
if
was
I
in
drive.
Vaughan, so yeah, but
For
I'm just
some
saying is
people, it would be far. Like for me, it wouldn't have
yeah.
been that, like central. That sounds nice actually. That would have been good. I don't know why I was picturing so far east. Like,
Vaughn is right in my area.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
your hood, and it's not far
And
from
it's
me.
not too
I
far
like
from
it.
me either.
Central
Yeah, it's not too
North.
far from me.
And
Can we do a sound check before you guys continue? How's this sound?
well, we don't hear all the
You sound
crazy
like you're on
noise,
a
but you
radio.
sound but you sound a little distant,
Like,
like you don't really want to be here.
yeah.
But it's all good. We'll take this.
No, it's a different headset, so
Yeah, I could tell. It's not when
Yeah.
the beads were working, they were clear. But then all that other extra, I guess the cord you just wore through the cord. I don't know what you do with your headphones on, but um, but yeah. So back to the part. Okay, so yeah, you were talking about no, and you know what? No. Blah, let me just rewind to what I was saying is, but even if you're not going to drink that amount or eat that amount, I mean, at the end of the day, if you've had a good solid few hours of good times
Right.
with people and music, and you don't get a lot of that here. So if this party gives people that, it'll be a success, because I've always.
Well, yeah, but as I said, if you go on a boat cruise, or if you like, I'm just talking about for me generally. I'm spending that period. If forget about bottles, I'm just talking about by the time you buy a $50 ticket to go on a boat cruise, you buy two drinks for yourself or three drinks for yourself, which is I'm just being conservative,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right there, that's $80. Then you go buy your boy or your homegirl or your girl or whoever it is, two drinks out of that. Change right there. This is 100. It's $150 all premium, meaning Absolute or like Smirnoff Ice, or what I mean. This is Johnny Black. This is Grey Goose. This is Belvedere. This is like you know,
Mhm.
I
and
hear
then
you. I mean,
and
it's
then
worth it, especially for people who spend that kind of money. Like if you go out and you drink and you buy drinks, because some women do it too. Um, and even if it ends up costing you like 30, 20, $30 more than a typical night, then fine. You know what I mean? Because if the experience is worth it, um, for me personally, yeah, like I said, I never.
say what? It's just and that's what I was about to say. It's like, okay, so you get the food, you get the alcohol. On top of it, it's just like odds and out. It comes down to is that you're with a grown adult crowd. You're not,
Eddie, what are you doing,
like
Eddie? Quiet.
What's that?
mute them, mute them.
You know what? You're
You're
just
not
you. Yeah, you can.
I,
Take yourself off when
out
you're
of
ready
control.
to. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, he's just.
Yeah. So I'm saying, right, is that what you're with an adult crowd. It's like, what I mean, a proper age group and this proper music. Is you're not hearing trap and you're not hearing all. What I mean, it's a proper fit, and I was like, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed. I restored my, it restored my faith. Like them guys with this one, and I can't wait for next year if it was like, what I mean, to see what Ford, what it came. They spared no expense, and I
See,
think they
that's nice.
realized
Yeah.
that their name they had to make up for the last 2 years. One wasn't really their fault because of the rain and stuff like that, but the other one was, and they stepped up their game.
Yeah. Well, good for them.
That and then my crew they two of my boys they do an annual barbecue, a huge mansion barbecue at my boy's house personally. So we did the mansion barbecue. Um, so as I said, there was a small one and then there's a big one. So we did the big one, about 250 people there, and it was again
Mm.
basically all inclusive, but just in a mansion style barbecue. So we did that,
Okay.
amazing. And then on Monday, then I did big up to Dr. J, Soaker Diet Cabana. Did that. So I had a full weekend personally.
Mhm,
Like, like today, I've been recovering for the last 2 days.
mhm.
Put it that way.
Well, it's
I
one of
am
those
tired.
weekends, and the weather was decent, right? Overall, there's rain here or there, but I'm one of these people. If there's rain early in the day, not that I had plans to do anything, I just wasn't feeling well. And um, but if I did, no, I'm a watch the weather type of person.
Yeah.
Regardless, I don't care. I could have ticket in hand, outfit ready, everything. If I see rain, if I check and they're saying more rain and more rain on top of that, I am not going anywhere. Like I can't get with I can't do the rain thing. Like I just can't. And when it's too humid and too, I'm just way too uncomfortable if it's like anything outdoors. But it turned. I think it was pretty though. It was a nice weekend.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
it
there were a
was.
lot of
Because
like a lot
yeah,
happening in the
yeah.
city because even like all my nieces and nephews, like some of the older ones down to the little ones, got ready, went down to Nathan Phillips Square. Um, but they missed the night that Drake made a little appearance, um, which they were really hoping that he would come again. But there was until Nettie joins us again. I'll get into your weekend, Nettie, when you come back and you're settled and you can actually talk to us, and so you could, you know, take your mic off mute when you're ready. But yeah. So Belly, Canadian rapper. I think I heard he's from Ottawa, which I don't know where he's from exactly, but he's Canadian. He's been stateside doing his thing and rolling with some, you know, big name artists and stuff like that. So I guess he's big time now, but he's put his time in. He's been around anyway. He performed at Nathan Phillips Square, the free concert last night. And
Can you,
I, yes, we can hear you, Nedi.
okay. Am I clear or is it staticky?
You are static. You
Don't know.
yourself are static right now. No, you are clear.
Okay.
All right. Good. Good work. So yeah, so he's on stage and he starts swearing. He's like swearing to the crowd. And I mean, you know what kind of people Nathan Phillips Square attracts. Like you're just gonna attract all kinds of people who just happen to be downtown, people who've been down there all day enjoying the festivities, the Canada Day.
Multicultural,
Yeah, multicultural a- families, different
multi-Asian.
age, exactly. And you know, tourists, locals, people who are just strolling by, they hear a show, they come over, and you know they had fireworks and stuff like that after, and this man standing up there and then starts swearing and stuff, and um yeah, there apparently there were a lot of people very offended by that, and they went off on the city, and you know, so the city offered an official um apology to everybody. You know, because especially you're representing the city, you're representing the country. At least you know that's like the equivalent of being on, I don't know, what do you call it? Like regular radio. What do you call it? Like like radio where you always have a clean version, you know, clean radio edit. So
Radio.
yeah, message to Belly, like yeah, clean up your act when you're going to be in front of people who probably don't need to hear the profanities. And I had a little nephew down there too. He didn't need to be hearing all that stuff. He's just going into his little middle school. So he really yeah. But anyway, and then on top of it, I was actually trying to find his Twitter because apparently he tweeted out to yeah, he tweeted on top of that today after people complained. And he was like, F you, F this, and yeah, by the way, F you on his Twitter. I'm like, just
No
another
class.
level of ignorance. Yeah, just stupid. I'm like, that's not how you grow. And um, yeah, oh, ooh, okay. He's going off on people. He's just ignorant. But anyway, so no love to you, Belly. But yeah, props to Mr. What's his name? Drake. Sorry, for passing through and showing your country some love. Because you could have bumped that too. But Nettie, so you had a full weekend as well, apparently.
Yes. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 weddings, 3 days. It was pretty mad.
Okay, and that's what I was like. I wasn't sure because I swear I saw on your Instagram. I don't know why you fill up my feed, but I guess we're linked like that. So I saw on your Instagram, um, you named, I guess, two of the couples. But then I'm like, wait, did you just mix up the name? Because I swear, or were there two? Is it Clive? Were there two
It was
Clive?
Clive on Friday and then Clive on Saturday.
Oh, there was. So you put
Yeah.
Clive with a different chick and Clive with a different. I was like, how you people are gonna cause drama in these people's lives? I was like, Clive and Tamara, Clive and Donna, or something like that. And I was just like,
But
what?
thank you for paying attention. I like that.
I do. See, I really do.
Yeah. So there was
Close enough though.
was that no because
No,
it was
I mean,
I
that's
said
me.
I
He
was
didn't give
not
me the
close
full
enough.
no, he didn't give me the full itinerary. I just knew
no
that
because
I saw
you're like
Clive
you
with two different names, and I was like, okay, hold up. One of these is a mistake. But
yeah no I thought about that afterwards too because his real name is Damien but he goes by Clive so most people know him by Clive.
ooh,
So
I
then
didn't
I was
that.
doing it. I'm like, people are gonna think I'm making a mistake, but it's not. So
Yes. No,
it is.
you know what you're doing. So who are we to question you? But I just thought it was a little funny. But so
Yeah,
that's crazy because Clive is not the most popular name
it's
for
not the most popular name, and to have
anyone.
two
Yeah,
We're back to back.
two
anyone
weddings back to
under
back.
40 or whatever. And I don't know, maybe they're around that. And then yeah, and then the other no, I'll touch on my other thought on this, which applies to a personal experience as well. But so how was it? Which one was the best?
So,
Put me on the spot.
so
Do
um,
not answer that question any day.
Answer now. They ain't listening. No, what a Clive.
it's a tough question because I like little aspects of each of them,
Okay.
right? But
Overall. No, I'm kidding.
overall,
Ooh,
um,
you're really gonna answer. Nice.
I guess I would have to say
Mm,
probably Sunday because of how everything was laid out.
okay.
So I go. My thing is for weddings and stuff like that. I don't always just go by the bride and groom. I go by how it would be as a guest to experience the wedding,
Hmm.
if that makes
As you
sense.
should. As
So
you should.
No, that makes sense because I thought you were looking at it from your photographer
yeah.
or
So
your marketing man.
from a photographer's point of view, Friday's wedding was for the location of the photos and stuff like that. I liked it a little bit better
Hmm.
than the other ones,
Hmm.
but in terms of the whole experience from Friday, it wasn't a good experience.
Ooh, did you just say, oh, yo, did
Was
you
that?
just say Friday was not a good experience? Nettie, don't say that.
No, I'm saying it from a guest point of view, right? And
Photographer.
I'll have to explain why.
Yes.
So the church was downtown Toronto on a Friday night, right?
Mm, okay.
So not Friday night, Friday at like 12 o'clock.
Okay.
So as a guest, you have to, if you're not living downtown, you have to get downtown.
Mm,
So there's no parking downtown Queen Street. You have to pay for parking everywhere,
mhm,
right? And you're in rush hour traffic to get down there for 12 o'clock, and then leaving now the park was in Oshawa, so
oh.
Oh
you're
God.
leaving
Logistics
you're leaving.
there, yeah.
So picture yourself from Eaton Center to
Mhm,
go to Oshawa to take pictures on a Friday
mhm,
working day, Friday night, right?
Long
mhm.
So
weekend.
so by the time
Oh
we
Yeah,
man.
on top of that, right?
so by the time we got to Oshawa to take pictures for the park, it was about 2.5 hours.
Mm-mm.
So imagine sitting in your car for 2.5 hours after you just spent about half an hour, 45 minutes to get to the church now
Downtown. Oh no.
downtown, right? And then you go 2.5. So that part of it kind of killed the day, sort of.
Mhm.
Because
That makes it a long day. Yeah.
if I'm sitting in my car for 2.5 hours, I want to be at Niagara Falls or something like that, or I want to be in Buffalo. I want to have, so I want to be at a destination. You get what I mean?
Reason, exactly. Yeah.
I want to be driving for 2.5 hours and then I'm at Wasaga Beach or I'm somewhere. You get what I mean?
Mhm,
Yeah. So a lot of the guests were complaining. Some people didn't get to the park because 401 traffic and whatever, blah blah blah. So from the guest side of it, it wasn't the best experience. That's why I say that.
no, that makes total sense because I think If I was invited to that, I would have been like, either or. I'm either going to the wedding, the ceremony, or I'm going to the reception. I don't know if I would have,
Right.
unless it
Because
was a really, really close person.
imagine you go to the church for 12 o'clock, and this is another thing that I have an issue with.
Mhm.
And I love my black people, but we have to stop saying, West Indian time. We have to stop that black people time, West Indian time stuff, right? Because when you go to your job, you don't show up. You're supposed to start at 8 o'clock, show up at 9 o'clock, and say, "Yo, it's black people time." You don't do that. You show up and you punch your clock when you're supposed to be there. But why is it for everything else we always decide to be late? And then people will purposely put an earlier time on your event, right? Knowing that people are going to be late. So if you put, so there's two faults there. If you're putting like a 12 o'clock time, knowing that the ceremony is starting at 1 o'clock as a bride and groom, right? Some guests will get there for 12 o'clock thinking that it's actually starting at 12. So then they have to wait an hour for the actual start time of the wedding. And then,
They would
and
be the
then
fools. I'm kidding.
right, right. But then afterwards, there's other people who look at the invitation and say, "Oh, it says 12 o'clock, but I'm not going to get there till 1:30."
That
Right.
would be me.
So that would be right.
I'd be like, 12,
But
you don't know
then,
I'm really going to be there until.
right. But then there
Yeah,
are some
that's
people who
sad.
actually plan the wedding. There's people who plan the wedding and actually have it running on time. And then you have people walking in while the ceremony is going on.
Well, they should be let outside. They should stand outside. I won't let them in.
Right. So we, as West Indian people, we have to stop saying that black people time. And it's got to be something that's not accepted, because
Okay.
I can't show up to somebody's wedding photographing and saying, yeah, I was trying to get her on time, but black people time. No, you have to be a professional.
Well,
You
you
have
get
to,
paid. There's a little incentive there for you.
it doesn't
No,
matter.
but you know what? Let's. But it all depends. You know what it really comes down to is the person. You know the person.
Yeah.
Like there's some people that you just know, no matter what, no matter even if it says on the invitation sharp. You
Yeah.
know the person that's doing it is going to be 100,000%. So it all depends on the person, right?
It's still
If you're
people.
going to a wedding, that means you're personal. You know them, so you know what is and what is not. But you're absolutely right. People, we are always late, except for things that we won't get paid or fired on.
I've done all nationalities. I've done Persian. I've done Indian weddings. I've done Jewish. Black people, African, like all different types of nationalities, all different religions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it's only these ones that I like, the time wise is a problem. The
See,
West Indian.
okay, let me ask you this though. I don't think would you say every ceremony? Because weddings in general are very rarely start on time, like the ceremony. Like
That's not true.
No,
a lot of time brides are late. It's tradition. It's
no,
almost tradition for. It's very
No, that ain't true.
really
That ain't.
no, that's
okay.
I've
not
been to
Well,
a
true.
lot of
me
weddings.
personally,
Right.
I would never expect at any wedding I go to. I would never expect if they say ceremony starts at 11. I would never expect to see. Um, I would never expect it to start at 11 for any wedding. I would think that I would probably be thinking, okay, I'm going to see the bride maybe like 45 minutes after that. So you'll see other people come in and stuff like that and take your time. Now, I haven't been to I haven't been to any other cultural.
But you see, that's the mentality that I'm trying to say that we should get away from. That mentality
No,
right
but
there.
that's not even, that's like, if I were to Google this right now, like I think it's like brides you kind of make people wait. Like everybody's supposed to wait on the bride that day. Like no one's, you're supposed to be sitting there waiting. Like that's kind of part of it. Really?
Well, so as I've done, like I was saying, the Jewish wedding that I did on June 18th started on time. I did an Italian wedding before that, maybe was 5 minutes late, 5 minutes after the time that was on the thing. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's the West Indian ones that we're constantly doing this. And the brides will say, it's West Indian time, Black people time. So the brides don't get there till 45 minutes late. The guests don't get there till 45 minutes late. I'm just tired of seeing a wedding that's supposed to start at 1 o'clock and 2:30. We're still inside the church.
Okay, see, that's extreme. Like, I'm thinking half hour. Like, I wouldn't expect, like, honestly, and and maybe this is the Black in me, but I would never suggest this to a person. If a wedding is starting at 10 o'clock, I would never say put 10 o'clock. Like, I just wouldn't, because it's a day that is so important. You really want people there. And I wouldn't do an extreme, like 2 hours ahead. Like, I would do maybe even a half hour to say, okay, ceremony starts at 10:30. It really starts at 11. So the bulk of people, like the majority, even if people are running like 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late, the majority of people will be there. And what's half hour to wait? If you really have if a half hour to sit and wait for a wedding to start is a big deal, then I'm sorry, maybe you're a little too busy for my wedding. You don't really need to come, because come on, like, you've already blocked off a day or at least half a day for this. So just come chill, talk to people. You're going to be seeing people. You can look at people. There'll be a little music playing, and then, like, I don't know, but I think it's kind of tradition to wait for the bride. I don't think anything ever starts on time. And
it's not tradition.
Okay. There you go. I proved your point. But I don't call it, that's the funny thing. I don't call it Black people time. I just call it that's like, I would never expect for someone to put on a wedding invitation the exact time that their ceremony starts. And I just think that's ridiculous to do, personally.
There's been a wedding.
I would not be playing with my start time, and I would want people in and settled, because even if it's not to do with people's attitude of, oh, I'll get there when I get there, is there's traffic. And so even if you give yourself an hour to get somewhere, there might be traffic, especially in the summer with all the construction. Like, I just went somewhere last Thursday. I had to be 3 separate construction sites on my way, delayed me, and it ended up I got to my destination 20 minutes late because of these 3.
But see, there's no excuse for that. There's none, because what it comes down.
It's not an excuse.
You Google. You Google Maps. It tells
you. Sorry, honey. No.
But that's that's your lack of preparation to say, hey, and respect to say, I'm going to be on time. You're like, I'm leaving when I get there, where it should be.
No, but if I'm giving myself an hour to get somewhere that would normally take half hour with light traffic.
Yeah, well, you Google Map in the morning, you find out what's going on.
Guess what?
And find out,
and guess what? There's always. Okay, here's my point to that. Even if you punch in with Google or whatever maps you're going to use, and they can tell you, okay, there's a red dot there, there's okay. Yeah, but some of those things don't pop up until you're already on the road. You know what I mean? Right. My point is,
you know what?
My point is, okay, honestly, I would not. I think it's irresponsible. Well, unless they just don't care. Unless you're saying, listen, my wedding starts at noon. My ceremony starts at noon. We will be doing our thing at noon. Whoever's there is there. Whoever's not there is not there. If you think about it like that and you don't care, then do your thing. Like, I'm not going to but if you actually think that, you know what, there is, let's work in time for people, or let's even for ourselves, forget thinking about other people, for yourself, because I've done makeup. I do makeup, not so much now, but I've worked as a makeup artist, and I did quite a few weddings. It's hectic. It's crazy. The brides I've worked on, they always build in time, because between hair and your clothing and getting a run, waiting for someone to bring your bouquet, like, anything. There's so many delays that can happen by the time you're waiting for your ride
That
to
just
come.
sounds like a lack of preparation and a lack of
No, I'm not
organization.
saying every happen. I'm not saying all of that happens on every single wedding, at every single wedding, but it happens. Things happen that could delay you by 10, 15 minutes. And so when you block in time like that, you're for yourself, you would want to say, okay, I don't want everybody sitting in the wedding in the church at 11 o'clock and I'm not there. So let me get them there for 10:30. And let me just tell them 10:30. They get anyway, that's just me. I'm sorry. I think
You're that bride. That's exactly what it is. You're that bride.
I'm just that person, and I have enough sense to know that you can't tell people 11 o'clock and expect more than 50% of the people to be there at 11 o'clock. And like I said, hey, chalk it up to the blackness.
No, but hold on, but KRC, this is what I'm trying to say. This is with our
people
culture, with West Indian people. What you're saying is there falls in line with what I was saying.
I know, that's
before.
what I said. Well, it sounds like I'm proving your point, but I don't think so. I need to put up a poll, or a poll? Yeah, to question everybody of all nationalities. How many weddings have you been to that have actually started within 5 minutes of the time that they said?
Oh, no.
I
15 minutes. Reasonably within 15 minutes.
No, because you guys are telling me no. 15 is that's the max. You should already
No,
be
we're not
there.
talking about 15 minutes is reasonable within that amount of time, but you have people sitting there for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. You know what I mean? That's disrespectful.
Well, that's an extreme. Okay, and then you guys are going all the way. I think half hour, 45 minutes, even
That's
an hour.
45 minutes is not
I
good.
I wouldn't even be mad because I know that things happen, and especially with your little thing that you do now, this which I've seen it done before in a wedding that I did makeup for many years ago. But you said it's becoming more of a trend, Nettie, where people are doing their first look at the bride before the ceremony and doing their photos.
That's the best way to do it.
Yep.
No, for you as a photographer, yeah, but
No,
I
for the
think
guests. For the guests,
yeah,
because the
and for
guests
the
show up
guests,
at the 6 o'clock ceremony, and then they go straight to the reception. 6 o'clock ceremony, 7 o'clock reception. You don't know waiting time. You go straight. You do the ceremony.
I
Congratulations.
think there's
And
something very special about a groom standing at the
Rival.
front of the church or wherever you're getting married, and he sees his bride, he looks and he sees her coming for the first time. That reaction is priceless. And you don't know, and that is like, you don't know how as a man you're going to react, and as a woman, like, because some men just like, they just tear up, they're so overwhelmed, it's so emotional, some of them faint, but
yeah,
it's like,
that's
it's a
old
beautiful
school.
moment. Huh?
That's like cassette tapes in a USB
No,
generation.
and that's it. And for me, I'll keep it old school. There's certain things to me I don't change for no damn convenience of guests, and
So
for
you know,
convenience and for the photographer's ease of transition and all that stuff. Oh no, let me tell you something. Someone put this in my
you know
head
what? You know,
someone put this in my head recently. Let me just finish this is the couple's day. Everybody else around, you can be hot, you could be uncomfortable, you could be hungry, you could be all that. It don't matter. It's not your day. And that's it. And for
you know,
people who come to a wedding and they're starving and they're talking about they're starving, have your breakfast, have your lunch before you come to a wedding. Don't sit around talking about you're waiting for your reception food. No, to me, that's not preparing. And you know what you do? You know what the best thing to do after the ceremony, before the reception? Go grab a bite to eat. So that's where you have your time, and the couple can do their photos. And as a married couple, like, I don't even want photos. I don't want photos of me and my fiance. No, that's what your what do you call those photos that you do? Your engagement photos. That's that.
Yeah.
My bridal marriage photos, that's supposed to be as my, like, a couple with our rings on, like we're supposed to have rings on in our photos. I'm not putting on a ring on my finger until my ceremony is done. So to me, that's fake. That's like rehearsal. You wouldn't get me. You wouldn't get me doing that. Sorry.
You know, like you're saying, it's the bride's day and the groom's day, the
Yes,
wedding
it
day.
is. Yes, it is.
So I'll disagree with that, and I'll tell you why.
Oh
Because
Lord, please, you can't.
is because of the bride and the groom. If it's just about the bride and the groom, they would go into City Hall and get married,
Right.
and just
What do you need everybody there for?
No. Okay.
the whole hoopla. If when they're doing these big bombardiers or doing dressing up the hall and stuff like that, that's for the guests. But having
No,
special
it's
food and
not.
stuff like
No,
that.
it's
But
not. It's to impress the guests. It's
Listen,
to
it's to
entertain the
impress the
guests.
guests. It's
But
for
it's
the
hold
not.
on.
show.
But it's not for the
Listen,
guests.
no,
It's
no,
not
no.
like
You guys,
the party Kinetic was just talking about, where they made sure the liquor stop, because those people are going to be consuming, like, because those people are paying their money to go just for the experience. This is my experience that you're coming to be a part of.
well, can I point
Because
out
without the
something?
bride and the groom, this would just be another party. So that's my point. It's
Can I
about
can
the
I,
bride.
can I
Yes, you
point
can,
out?
Kinetic.
Okay. And just my take on this, right? I sat back and listened to
Yes,
both
sir.
sides. I just threw in a couple of things, but what it really comes down to is this, okay?
Oh, Lord.
Yes, it's a. She said, "Lord."
No.
Yes,
I just saw something else. I saw something else that
okay.
made me say that. Sorry. No.
I said, I'm saying yes. It is a bride and groom's day, but it's also the family's day because you're marrying two families together.
Yeah, without the bride and the groom, it wouldn't be happening.
Well,
So
that's what
it's
I'm
Yeah,
saying.
definitely
That's what
not.
I said. And if you heard
families,
exactly
they're
I
thrown
heard what
together.
I heard what you
what
said.
if you
Yeah.
heard what I said is that yes, it's the bride and groom's day, but it also, which is an operative word, is it is the family's marriage as well.
And
And you know,
actually, in some cases, it's not, because in some cases, family's not really present. And in some cases, no family is present for one side or the other. So not really.
right?
But go ahead.
I never finished. And
I
on
know,
top
but
of
I'm
that, what
saying
it comes
the
down to,
only thing every wedding has in common,
common,
the
common.
only thing is the two people
But at the
getting
end of the day, if people are there, you also have there's many factions to a wedding. It's primarily about the wedding and groom being surrounded by the people that they love
married.
and that love them to witness this marriage
Mhm.
in union, right?
Witness.
It's also about setting them up, right? To win. Like, you know what? You got to remember something. You're saying that we're not consumers, but I've never given less than $150 at a damn plate from if I'm single. Like, you know what I mean? So what it comes down to is, I'm not saying this is showing you the consumer. If I'm paying you $150 minimum, that depends. Like if I'm single, if you're bringing somebody else who made 400, whatever it is, depending on how close I am to the person or not, there's many factions of that. But at the end of the day, I'm paying you $150 minimum
Right.
to get food. I am just as much as part of that as you are. I've obligated my day. I've lost my work day, which is money lost out of my pocket. It's also, I've given you money, so that's more money that I've lost out of my pocket. And again, it's out of being there. I wouldn't want to be there, or I shouldn't be there, right? Or obviously we're coming there out of love. We're coming out there to see you. Mean it's about your day. It's about being a part of the day, but it's also about me because I'm involved in that day. I'm there to witness that day. And then in the thing, it's your way of being polite and respecting my time. Sure that you're not driving me out from downtown to Oshawa and then back wherever you have to go again, whatever it may be. That's also respect. And then on top of that, me still entire day. 80% agree. If you're smart, on your way to, you go grab something to eat because there's usually 2 hours between things. So that's the usual. You go grab a little bite to eat, and then you come and you have your food. But at the end of the day, it's about, if I have enough respect for me to be there for you, to watch your union and your marriage, then you should have enough respect for me to respect my time and make sure that you're organized as well. And it is also my duty to make sure that I am there on time.
Right. Not 45
The
minutes,
bride and the groom
KRC.
shouldn't be waiting. Right. And that's just my take on it. Like, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but at the end of the day, it's just you know what? It's a matter of respect. Me respecting you enough to be on time, and you respecting me enough to make sure you're on time.
Yes. You hear
And
that?
not keep me starving.
No,
You
and I
hear that?
totally agree with you guys, but I'm just saying, you know what? I tend to be a little more realistic about things, and that's it. But I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, everything would start on time and everything would be flawless, and there wouldn't be a huge gap, like a wait. The best weddings well, not, yeah, I'd say the nicest weddings, as far as flow and all that stuff, have been weddings where I haven't been to many, but weddings where the ceremony and reception are at the same venue.
Venue, yeah.
That happened here in Toronto, well, on the East End, that happened. And that was great because you drive to one place, you park at that one place. Actually, no, I'm lying. Okay. No. Yeah, it happened. Yeah, so it happened 2 times. So there was one downtown. It was central, and but yeah, the reception was outside. Then we moved. Sorry, the ceremony was outside. Then we moved inside to the reception. And another one, it was both downtown, but one was in the city. The church was in the city, and then we drove down to the waterfront. There's that club down there. I can't remember where it is. Really nice, and you have to take a boat out. No, I can't remember, Lord. But anyway, but that was smooth because it was like I don't know, 15-minute drive. You went down by the water, we parked, we got to the venue. Beautiful. Like, you know what I mean? And I went to a wedding in Jamaica, destination wedding, same thing. And it wasn't at the resort. It was in the grill, the cliffside, and the ceremony was right. It was right there, and then we walked back to where the reception, the meal and everything was set up. And then the photos were done right there, obviously right there, and music was playing, and there was appetizers for us to have, and we were dancing and talking, and the bridal party was taking pictures, and family and all that. And then they joined us, and then the night went ahead, and we ate, and then we continued, and that was one of the best too. And it's like, yeah, so I mean, but not everybody can do it like that. I think that whole downtown to Oshawa is a bit extreme. Personally, I think that's a lot of traveling, even for the couple themselves. I'm like, I don't think I'd want to really do that in Toronto and traffic, and like you said, kinetic. Long weekend.
But not only that, it's a Friday, working Friday, like work week Friday. It's not like,
I mean, I get it
too, yeah.
I mean, I get it. You want the perfect shot. You probably have your ideal in mind, but logistically, you also have to think about, hey, you're gonna work. Like, they clearly, and that's another thing. I really can't stand them people that do long weddings on long weekend. That is totally selfish to me. We get
That's the
only 8
other
of them
thing, because
for the
that's
whole
what I
year.
wanted to ask about, was this
Other
whole
weekend.
Yeah, that was because I've heard weddings Caravana weekend, and I'm like, really?
come on, care about a weekend.
You have one coming?
That's the one that irritates
That's the one. What?
Nettie?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you.
I go, that's the one that takes me. Yeah, I go, that's the one that irritates me the most. To care, that's the one that I always say no to every single time, no matter who it is. I hate the fact remains that people, that's one little bit of the holiday that I'm supposed to see people have, and you are stupid and selfish enough to go have your wedding on a long weekend caravana when I'm already probably drunk from Wednesday, Thursday, and I have to go deal with it Sunday, whatever it is,
Oh, Lord.
and Monday.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally selfish. The one that gets me irritated.
So there's that, and then there's like the Labor Day, and I just think that one, for so many reasons. I'm like, how many people travel? Like, I would like when I did my summer vacation, it's always toward the end, like August into to the end of August, depending on how it works out, or even coming back just before the Labor Day. But and especially when you have children, to get ready for school, it's the last thing you want to do is to have a wedding like right there. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But the wedding I spoke about, the Jamaica, the destination, that was July. That was the Canada Day. That was but for some reason it worked out, just because it was, I don't know. Yeah, like we still celebrated, and they had an all white night and stuff like that, and so it was still like you still got, and you were still with a bunch of people, and it was fun and things like that. So I guess in that case, but something that takes you away from somewhere where you would want to be, um, yeah, that kind of sucks. I think for some people though, and especially the weekday thing, it's a money thing, right? It's cheaper.
It's cheaper for Fridays, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so weddings, so yeah, so we learned a bit about and Nettie. But guess what? I don't think that's ever going to change. We can sit and protest and talk about people shouldn't do Black people time. We got to do better. We got to do better. It's not going to change. So be smart about it, especially if you're Black yourself. Don't be in denial. Accept
Don't
what
be
it is. No, accept what it is. Like, accept what it is. And it's just like, that's what it
no.
is. You
Don't
look at,
acceptable if you make it acceptable. I don't care what nationality you are.
Was that said again?
I said I don't care what nationality you are. It's only acceptable if you make it acceptable.
now, you guys, you just have to be realistic about some things. You just have to be real.
Well, that I guess you're according. It's as I said. I was just like Ned. I've been to a lot of like 1 year. I think it was 2 years ago. I was to 9 weddings, 9 for the year, and then it was like what I mean. Last year I only went to 3. This year I only went to one destination wedding, and it was organized properly. So it was like it's wedding season now. I haven't really been invited to any other more because all my people are married. So but I went to 9 back to back to back to back. And it was like, you know what? Italians, it was Portuguese, it was, Indian. I had a couple West Indian. I had a Chinese. And everybody except for Black people were on time. I'm talking about within 10, 15 minutes of the start.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's good for
No,
yeah, good for everybody else. I
Still,
personally, and I
pushing
wouldn't be
people out
mad
the
if people came half hour late because I wouldn't be up there a half hour anyway. Like, yeah.
people on Earth.
What's that? You're breaking out. What?
Still the freshest people on the earth. I don't care.
There we go.
West India. You get me?
but
We're still the freshest on the earth. So.
fresh. The way I look at it is because I've been doing all these different nationalities, different weddings and stuff like that. I can see like how some people are like very far ahead, like in terms of I deal with a West Indian couple
Yeah.
stuff like that, and the other nationalities, their parents are paying for everything. Right? I have couples that come to me, like my West Indian couples, and they're paying for their wedding out of their pocket constantly. And then on top of it, the guests that come, they only cover like their plate of food. Like, let's say they say, okay, well, I think the plate of food costs $50. So they're putting $50 in an envelope. How is the bride and groom supposed to live afterwards? They go through the wedding and they leave the wedding
Get set up. Yeah.
in
That's
debt.
the whole idea.
They leave the wedding in debt, right? So as West Indians, if we're doing this to each other, we're not going to get anywhere as people. And I'll compare it to the Italian wedding that I did just a couple months ago. The Italians, when they go to the wedding, there's nothing less than $400 or $500 in an envelope. And they know this. This is how the culture is. And their parents are paying
family. That's $1,000 as a family. Yeah.
$1,000. See, you hear what Kinetic saying? $1,000 as family members. Some there were some people dropping gifts like, I'm gonna pay for your honeymoon. Here's 2 tickets to wherever, blah blah blah. Somebody's putting $1,000 in an envelope. Their parents are paying for the wedding. When this wedding couple leaves, they're set. They got a house taken care of. Their vacation is taken care of. Everything is taken care of. They're not leaving it. Us West Indians, after the wedding, they're at least $20,000 in the hole, and they're paying for this themselves. this is another thing that I was trying to say. We have to stop being doing anti-Semitic.
Daddy, we
No,
got to stop.
No, but he's absolutely right. I agree with him 100%.
What are you saying? So you got to stop putting so much into your wedding? That's the bottom line to people?
no, not putting so much into your weddings. We have to stop doing this to each other. I've heard someone like I've been photographing the wedding, and I've been sitting down beside somebody, and they say, "Nah, man, look at this place. I'm not putting no more than $20 in the envelope." They wait to see what's happening at the wedding first before they decide what they're going to put into the envelope. And Kirsty, have you ever done that before?
Me? No. No.
Yeah, there's people who do that. They say, okay, well, this place looks like it's this. It was a nice piece of food and stuff like that. I'll put in you know what? I'll put in an $80 instead of the $50 I was gonna put in. Or some people will say, you know what?
Lord.
I was gonna put in $100, but now I'm just gonna put in like $60 because it looks like they didn't spend that much on this place. We can't look at it like that. You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, but you see, but the whole philosophy, he's 100% correct. The whole philosophy is to set up,
get them started. Yeah.
So, give them a start. They should be able to put down 20 grand on a house easy.
Right.
Right. Even if it's just whatever it is. But the whole idea, like you know what, my Portuguese friends, fathers, right? He said there's Portuguese, and we were just talking stuff like that. And he said the day she was born, $10 every paycheck. He put $10, and he started going up as from the day she was born. So, but they're ready to get married. They weren't struggling.
Nice,
Like when you think about it, traditionally the parents are supposed to pay for the daughter, right? It's the daughter's really it's about the groom thing. But it's like, you know what? If you have a daughter, you start putting down
the majority
from the day they're born. Every paycheck you put $10. Every nickel make a muckle.
Right.
And and this is where I'm gonna take it a little deeper I don't know how deep we're gonna go with this, but when you look at a lot of the families and the structure, and I know there are a lot of couples out there who like Black couples, Caribbean couples who raise their family, mother and father, but there are also a lot of single parent homes, single mothers raising their children and who have a few children. So when you think of the single mother raising, 3 girls and 2 boys, or 2 girls and 2 boys, for her to have to invest in a wedding in the future is almost impossible if she's still alone. And so I think we, as the children of single mothers, and I'm speaking truly single, where there hasn't been support in any way from the father, or nothing consistent, let's put it that way, or the father is not involved as, in the adult child's life. I think it's very rare that, you're going to find that adult child turn and look to their mother, unless she's just rolling in dough, like she's just been very successful and smart and everything like that. But the average, and I don't want to paint the wrong picture, because I don't like putting these things out there for people to think that's our only reality, because it's really not. I know there are a lot of families that do, like I said, homes, do provide for their children, do take care of their weddings. But in a lot of cases, and I'm speaking from my personal experience, from like my circle, or people I've seen, I know that that's probably the number one reason why they do end up funding their own weddings, is because you don't have that family structure that supports it.
Well, but also there's two. But there's
so there's a lot of things that need to be fixed before we get into like the icing on the cake. Yeah.
But you don't get, but you got to remember something at the same time. If that is the case, there's always, the cases where there's single parent homes or people can't afford weddings. You don't get married until you can afford it. People, just because you put a ring on today does not mean you go get married to next year. You know what? You sit down, you plan, you talk to your lady. You say, look, you know what? Of course, there's a certain point in time that a woman knows that you're going to get engaged. And we're going to plan this out. I'd rather you know what, sit down with my lady, and I know this sounds very modern and maybe not traditional, but I'd rather set up, make sure we get our house in place, get this in place, get that in place, do everything we need to do, and
Yes.
then I'll go buy a ring for you, and we go get married when we can afford it. When we plan to put down this money, or set up a certain line of credit, and start paying down things, whatever it may be. Like, but the fact remains is we have a realistic chat about getting married, because
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't mature, and you got to remember something. The other part of it is that what generational wealth we're not learning. Remember, we have just learned about finance. We just learned about getting it's only about 80, 90 years that we've been out of quote unquote Jim Crow and slavery, right? We've been given the small fish where we have, we've been going for racial equality versus financial equality when wouldn't even care about, whether we're black or white, or they wouldn't. What it really comes down to is that start preparing and be mature and having these honest conversations. Because what has happened is, with a mass majority of black people, as you said, not broad stroking the picture, but generalizing, is that a lot of our parents don't understand sacrifice. They understand sacrifice day to day, but they don't say, instead of me buying my shoe, I'm be like, you know what? I'm gonna, instead of buying that shoe, I'm not saying that you should neglect yourself totally, but it's like you got to think generational wealth. It starts with you. So for your family, if you know that, you know what, you're poor and you're single, you don't go get 5 kids and go get pregnant, and keep on getting pregnant, or you don't continue to, be out of wedlock. You do things right. You live within your means, and you make sacrifices where you say, okay, you know what? All right, I'm not going to buy this shoe today. My daughter's going to go to college. And things are going to go to college. And no matter what, I'm not going to spend this money no matter what. It could,
Yeah.
we could be thrown out tomorrow and make that sacrifice. Or we don't downgrade. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to drive a Honda Civic, I'm going to go get that Beamer or Benz because I can't not do without that. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, my daughter or my son is going to college or going to university, and they need to be. So I'm going to take care of that stuff first, and I'm going to sacrifice my personal pride and vanity and happiness and all that stuff for my children, which our parents are supposed to do. I'm just saying is make correct decisions, and when you can afford that Benz after you've taken care of your responsibilities, then you go get that Benz.
Right. Which is exactly how it should be. But it doesn't work out that way for us.
Right. And we don't downgrade. We have not learned to downgrade. You know what I mean? We've not learned that, hey, okay, it's not, you know what? We think that, oh, I can't lose that car. Boy, I have a Benz, so me can go drop down to a Camry to, to save some extra money. So to be responsible. We think day to day, and we do not think for our children. We don't think, hey, you know what? We got to make sacrifices for our generational wealth. We think day to day, and we think immediate family. We don't think long term, and that's been a problem for us. But again, we're young, we're learning,
right.
So we'll get there eventually. But we need to start looking at the examples. Like, you know what? Again, just like Nettie said, Portuguese, Italians, they probably have $50,000, and they do a spread. Like when they do stuff, they do stuff. Like they put on a real event, no expense. But at the end of the day, they're still up $50,000, $60,000. Limos paid for, houses paid
and
for.
I think a bit of that. Sometimes I look at some of these people, and you know what? They have connects. So if it's not their own family, it's a family friend that owns the hall. You know what I mean? So they get a deal.
So we
And
don't have
yes,
connections.
and don't get me wrong. They not as much. It's not as much. And when you think of some of those really nice venues, and for the limo services and all these things, and you know what, it comes from, again, working together, and people are still going to pay, because these people, it's not as if they're going to lose money they're not giving it the venue for free to say, okay, here's the venue. I don't need it that day, because why? They're still in business. They still got to pay the bills, but they'll get a little, like, me going there and approaching them, what's the cost? I'm going to get a different price than someone that they know, obviously. So, but again, that goes back to themselves and supporting each other on their come up, as far as the
And being
parents did
mature
that, the
also.
grandparents, and now the children of the children are benefiting because of these strong family ties and connections and stuff like that. And so there's a part of it, and I mean, within different communities, this touches on so many other things we've talked about too, about supporting our own businesses, and having that pride, taking that pride in saying, you know what, yeah, I am gonna shop and support a Black owned business, um, for this reason. You know what I mean? And for this reason, to say I want to help build it and sustain this person, and as a
It's
as a
also,
part of as a part of our culture, our group.
but it's also again, I know it's a very strong opinion, but it's also about being mature and responsible. Just because you got engaged today does not mean you got to get engaged. I mean, you got to get married in 3 months or 5 months when it's
But
kind of.
I think if people do want to do that, that's their prerogative. And I like, and I don't think,
But then,
I don't, and
don't
no,
complain when
no,
you're
no,
suffering from
but I
hardships
don't
and
think
digging
they
yourself.
complain. I don't think they're complaining. I mean, I don't think the average person, if they get what they want, if they want that dream wedding, and you know how many, you know how many arguments there are with couples, and that's a big part of the stress of going into a wedding is, one wanting, like, the guest list. You know what I mean? It starts with that, like, okay, how many people are we inviting? This is our cutoff. And then it grows and grows and grows, and it's like, okay, one of the people sees dollar sign more than the other person or whatever. And then the cost of a gown, and the cost of, like, just every cost that, and there are things, unfortunately, like when it's such a big deal, getting married, having a child, you're so vulnerable at those times because you have these things being offered to you and shoved in your face and shown to you that you didn't even think about. But these experts and these planners now put pressure on, and they know. And the other one, sorry, funerals. Those, so birth, weddings, and death, those are the times when you could really, like, push things that people didn't even budget for or expect, and because they work you emotionally, because those are, like, some of the most emotional experiences you have. And so sometimes people go in it very modest and saying, okay, this is our budget, and then the next thing you know, that you add $15,000 because of all these other things that people put on you, and they know this. These
But
people
then
in
you
these
be
industries
real.
know this.
But you be realistic, and there's a very powerful word. No.
Yes, and can I, in a perfect world, like, we would do that, but even
It's
when
not
you're
about
planning
being
it, even
perfect.
when
It's
you're
about being
planning,
mature and responsible.
no, but even when you're planning a trip, yeah, and that's all good. And you know what? If we were mature and responsible and perfect in everything we did, we would all have perfect lives. But even when you're planning a vacation, and it comes down to, okay, do you want the ocean view, the garden view, and you're like, and the ocean view costs more, and then the one person's like, yo, do we really need it? We're going to go out to the beach. We're going to the beach anyway, so we see the ocean. You don't really need from the room, like, we're only going to be in a room limited. But then they're like, oh, but I want to wake up and see it. It's just the extra $50 a night. And then you make exceptions because you're like, yeah, this is our once in a lifetime trip together, or this is our, like, for whatever reason, or it's our honeymoon. You know what I mean? And then you just want it to be that perfect special trip. And so it's not as if you go into it, like, irresponsibly. You're just going with the flow. And you know what? And then that's when you start saying, listen, money is to be, enjoyed and spent and all that good stuff. So people, you get engaged. One thing I cannot stand is no 7-year engagement, 5-year engagement. To me, that's garbage. Don't accept it. Don't do it. No, don't tell me you got engaged and I have to be asking, so when's the wedding? Like, I should not even ask. I should forget that you're engaged, and then boom, oh yeah, wedding, yeah, like a year and a half, a year, like 2 years max. Don't put a ring on my finger if you can't get it together and we can't be getting married within
But
2 years.
that's
Not
the whole
even,
idea,
not
though.
even,
But
not even.
see, but I totally agree. I totally
And
agree
then,
with
and
you.
don't think you're gonna be with me 4 or 5 years until you get your, no. I'm
No, but what it really comes down to
Depends
is
on
that
where you are
you
in
have a
life.
mature.
Depends on the age you are.
Yeah, but I'm saying is you have a mature conversation. If I know I'm going to get married to you, this is a lifetime commitment. Look, you're with a girl for 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. probably max. I can't speak for anybody else, but maybe with a woman for 3-4 years. You know, after the third year, you're gonna probably end up with this girl. So you start preparing. You know what? You as a man know you're gonna buy a ring. You start preparing for that. A couple, you say, okay, we're doing this. Now let's start putting out. You have mature conversations,
Of course,
and you
kinetic,
be
and then
responsible and
life
accountable.
happens, and then life happens. So sometimes,
And then
sometimes you
then
just
guess what?
need
And
to,
then guess what?
yeah.
You adapt. You know what?
Of
And then you don't
course, and
have
this is
the
what people do. But
other
if
side
they've
of it.
already put
And
things off
the
for
side of it.
5 years, there's comes a
And
time
the
when
other
you're like,
side of it. If your own people are taking care of you, you won't have to worry about it too. And we start
right,
being mature about that, and saying,
well,
hey, $50, $200, $300, depending how that each family is giving about $1,000. For a whole year, for a year, there's not like 3 months or 5 months or thing. 100% that you're going to a wedding maybe a year and a half in advance. You start putting down the money for that.
well, there you
You
go.
make fun.
And there's a lot of things people have put money down for, but it's all good. I mean, I just think
You can quick and buy a VCR, but you can't quick put
me
down money for the person that you love.
instead of VCR.
You can quick.
I'll tell you the honest truth. I am a very simple person, despite what some people might think. And I've been to weddings and I've seen like, really nicely done. And when you see like the big bridal party and everything is beautiful. And for the moment when I'm there, I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be so nice. This is so lovely. But by the time I leave, I'm like, who's that breathing like that? Oh, Nettie, stop. And that I just know that I would not, I don't need all of that. Like I don't need that type of wedding. And I always said never I never planned for that type of wedding. I never thought of that type of wedding to say like the church and then the big hall with the reception and like X amount of 100 people. And um, I guess because that's just not how I live my life. That's just not me. Like I don't even do birthday parties, like big birthday bash. Like I think it just fits your life and what what your family expects and stuff like that, or you know what I mean? Like, because based on maybe like your siblings had that type of wedding or whatever. But so for me, it was never an issue. I never had that. Like I always envisioned it. I'd be get married on a beach somewhere with very close friends and family and call it a day. And it would just be bomb like that. It would just be fun. Not even like that, the destination weddings where it's all this craziness that goes into the crazy planning it. No, not even that. Just something very low key, nice. Who needs to be there is there. We just do our thing and then just enjoy our time together. And that's
if
yeah.
you go to a wedding or you're going to a wedding and you spend like let's say $300-400 on designer shoes, you get your makeup done professionally, you get your nails done, $500 on the outfit, and then you end up putting like $50 or $60 in the envelope, then you've got the wrong mentality there, my friend.
I think that's crazy anyway.
And you
You
don't
shouldn't be
deserve to
spending
be
all
at that
that
wedding.
unless you're getting married or in the bridal party. You shouldn't be spending that kind of money to go to a wedding. But I hear what you're saying exactly. And I mean, this is um it goes back to even what you guys were saying about it's for the guests, it's for the people. No, because that's
Both.
why I would
It
do
is both.
something catered to my I would no, it's an event that should be celebrated. It should be enjoyable for everybody there, yes, but it it really is to it's about the union of the two people getting together, and it's like at the end of the day it's their decision. Not everybody's going to like the meal you chose, but as long as you like it and you've considered people, but you got it. Or forget the food, that's a tricky one, but the theme, I mean, and your colors, people might not like the idea of a bride in a black wedding dress, but if that's what she wants, and so it's all about and the location, it's all about the couple getting married. But um
You know what I'm
yeah,
gonna do
what are you gonna do?
if I get married? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
Oh
invite
boy.
everybody over. for a barbecue, right? Have some liquor there and stuff like that. Have some barbecued food. Come by, chill out, and then all of a sudden, a minister's just gonna stand up and start talking and say, "Could you guys please stand?" And then I'm just gonna come in, and the wife is gonna come in, and then just marry us right there on the spot, and then that's it. Go back to
Buddy,
enjoying with you.
here's the thing though, Nettie. There's one little problem with that scenario.
What's that?
The wife.
But no, you might meet that woman that's down. That's
Yeah,
her
well,
style.
that's what I'm saying. If y'all talk about that, then cool. But she might have a total different story. Because again, really, this as Miss Carrie C's favorite saying is, then the real life sets in. She might be thinking about that for all her life, how she want that wedding.
Yeah, but
Every day.
that right there, Kinetic, is the problem. Lots of women are very, very excited to plan the wedding, but they don't know how to live with a marriage.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
boy.
They get
Okay.
married, and not the title.
The wedding.
The,
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it ends for the woman. It ends at the wedding. That's it. They plan their whole life to have this big elaborate wedding, and then afterwards, now you're married to the person, and then it is not the same. It's like you lived your whole life
Of it.
to wear the white dress, to walk down the aisle, to have all of your guests there and friends and family and whatnot,
Who and on over you. Yeah.
wooing and eyeing over you and whatnot. And then, then it's the marriage afterwards. And then what? Why do you think so many
You know
marriages
what?
fail?
That what? I'm gonna tell you exactly what. You have a $50,000 bill that because you weren't mature enough to pay for it. Y'all can't pay it off, and you end up divorced because you're fighting every day about bills.
A lot of weddings are end up in divorce because of money problems. I think it's
Right.
over 80%, 60 to 80% of the
And
marriages.
that's not just black people. Let's just be
That's
clear.
not no.
No, we're just
Hey,
talking period.
I didn't say
Yeah.
anything
I
about
was just
just
making
black
a funny.
people.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying since we've made that a part of the earlier
I,
conversation, let's just be clear. Because no, I
I
mean we're
didn't
putting a lot
even
on our
bring black
people. We were
people.
putting a lot on our people and the fact that, a lot of our people are in debt after or whatever. Can't
Money
really
problems.
afford. Yeah. But a lot of people that's across the board. Like I said, because you go into it and before you know it, like you're somewhat pressured and there are things that you don't even consider that you need and you're like, oh, I need that, and in the name of tradition you go with it and stuff like that. So um I
But let's be fair.
agree with what you're saying, Kinetic. Is like just be realistic about what you can and cannot do, and think of all the different options because there's so many different ways you can cut costs. And if money is an issue, then you got to really work within your budget. That's it. I mean,
And
and that
or
goes with
just wait.
everything.
You can have it all. It's just a matter of, you know what, you don't
Not
announce
necessarily, because I mean,
your
you know
game.
what? Here for some people who want to get on with life. You know what I mean? They want to be married, they want to start having their children, they want their family, they want to do it and they want to have a home as well. And that's very doable. It's possible. You just have to, like you said, sit down, map it out, plan it out, and know what your budget is in different areas. And if you want all of that within a 2-year period, then you just say, okay, if that means not having a wedding that costs 50,000 and maybe having one that costs 25,000, you can still have a very nice wedding for less. Like there are ways you can get a wedding gown that costs $5,000 for $500 if you shop a sale. You know what I mean? They have like, so you just got to be smart. So there are ways you can cut it. You
But
can.
just preparation.
Hmm?
It's all it just comes down to is preparation and being honest, as you said, have maturity, being mature, being honest, knowing your budget, sticking with your budget, and say no. Not peer pressure. It's not like we're 14 years old, and
No,
somebody's coming with
but
joining them and saying, "Here, you
no,
know what?
it's not
You know
about
what I mean?"
being immature as far as the pressure. It's playing on your emotions. And you have adult people who are, sorry, I hate speaking about this, but are burying their children or their parents, you know what I mean, or someone very, very close to them. And you don't realize that when they start playing on your emotions to say, you know what, you'd really want to, your daughter to be like, and then before you know it, you signed up for things beyond what you can really afford, because it's only going to happen once. And it's just something that, even when you know better, and it's the same thing with having children, they're suggesting this bottle set or this stroller system, and because it's safe and it's convenient and easy and very enjoyable for your children and and the baby, and you're thinking, oh my God, I want my baby to be comfortable, I want my baby to be safe, I want everything to be perfect for my baby, and you get caught in that. And then when you have the companies that know how to play on that, it's before you know it, you turn around like 2 years later, and then by the time you're having your second child, you know better. You're like, oh no, you're not going to catch me. And sometimes you do get caught, because if there's a long gap and then you're lost the second time around and everything's new to you again, you're like, shoot, like you're starting from scratch again. And it's very easy for people to play on your emotions to get you
But
to
remember this.
buy
But remember this. So
more
you
than you
went through
need, more
this.
expensive
But
than you need.
but when you have a child the first time, you remember you've been through this, so you know that majority of your expenses can be diapers and formula and wipes and that and jumpers. You can never have to, so you start buying that stuff ahead of time, because diapers will always be diapers. You know what?
Yeah,
They poop in them and you throw them away. You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's just that simple. Like, wipes are
I know,
wipes.
but
Like,
then when
unless
you're
they get a
buying,
allergic reaction, okay, I get it. But you know what I mean? But at
when
the
you
end of
go
the
in
day,
to buy a
jumpers are
mattress,
jumpers.
let's say you go in to buy a mattress for the crib, and they have mattresses that go from $50, $60 to 199. And then when they start speaking about the features and benefits of the $100 mattress, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's safer, and it's better for your
And you
baby's
know, because you had one
posture.
before, that 10 out of
No,
10 that's going to be in your
no, you
bed.
don't know, because now you're having someone stand in front of you talking about, in recent development, this is based on studies that were done a couple years ago, and
This
it's better
mattress
for
But
the
is
you know,
posture.
you know, you're 9 times out of 10, your baby's gonna be on the bed with you. You're gonna have some pillows
Now,
right
you know
behind
what? With
that
my
bed.
case, my daughter was in her crib very early, and my daughter started sleeping through the night very early. Thank you very much. My daughter is a star.
Okay. So
And
you
I
can
got
share you.
full use. I got full use of my crib. No, there was, yes, on the bed there was for the first few months. Yes, 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 yes. You're right. There for the first few months, but my baby, like there are people that have their children up until 2 years old. They're rolling in the bed with them. Not me.
No,
Eh,
no,
my
no.
no,
But
but people do it. People do it though, because they want their
that's
children on the bed, and it just makes better
yeah.
sense. They feel safer. They can check on their baby. So there are people that do it when they're up in, till they're 2 years. So
But
yeah, I get what
my
you're saying.
point is, when you were going to buy your mattress and stuff like that, you say, you know what, that's a very good idea. But I know my baby's gonna be on the bed with me for a little while, so I will think about it and I will come back.
Yeah, but no, because you just want everything prepared and ready. And listen,
But no,
Kinetic, let me tell you something.
at the first
Especially,
time,
there's a
yes. At the
difference.
second time, you're never gonna
There is
get
a
me.
difference, and I'm not putting men down at all, because men care about their babies.
just by saying
Men
that you're putting us down.
No, no, no,
Uh,
no. Men care as much about their children as the mothers. But I don't know if men care about all the same details as the woman. Okay. And women because a lot of the time, majority of the time, women are more hands-on with more of the things, especially in the case of, yes, I know we have parental leave here in Canada, where both parents, you can split the leave, but for a long time it was called maternity leave, because the mother took that full time off. And so the mothers are the ones that are usually using all the diaper genies and the bottles and the bottle cleaners and the disinfecting system and the breastfeeding pump and the women, and the detergent that you're going to clean your baby's clothes with, is women that and when you are pregnant, your hormones, sorry, are all over the place. You are susceptible to like all type of influence. Trust me, people play on it. And a lot of so as responsible as you want to be and as budget conscious as you want to be, I'm telling you, there are things that you come out of where you spend more because you want the best for your baby. Fabric, like you're looking at the fabric that everything that touches your baby's skin is made out of. You don't want no cheap something that's going to scratch up your baby or give your baby a rash or anything. So
Agreed.
they could sell you on like I'm telling you. So women, even fathers, don't feel bad about spending more, splurging on your babies. Don't listen to Kinetic. Kinetic is a killjoy. He's talking about don't get married, or just go to City Hall. Like you,
I know I did. First of all, I never said that. What I said, if you, as a man, you know you're gonna marry a woman, then you start preparing for that. You don't go buy a $10,000 ring on credit. You build up to that. And if you're gonna get married, you have that discussion. When you get married, you have the discussion and say, okay, this is a budget, this is what we're gonna do, and you start. And it's just about having mature talks, not just winging it. It's about being
and
responsible, and
nobody's saying
mature.
wing anything, but I mean, at the same time, some things you can't help because if she falls in love, like with a gown, you're getting married and you went in with all intentions just to have something simple, basic, blah, 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 and you fall in love because it just makes you look so bomb. And then you start thinking, okay, I'll do a little overtime at work if if that gets you more pay or whatever, or I'll take another job
Or
or
you go find one of those little old Italian ladies that used to do gowns that have nothing to do, and you take a picture of that gown. She takes your measurement and she makes that dress just as bomb for less because she bored.
that too. You could do that too. So if you can do that, and that's where you got to be smart. So, but I'm
There's a
not
million
saying
people out there,
I'm
though.
not I'm not on this delay your dreams, delay your life, and put things on hold until things are perfect. Because
I
listen,
didn't say any of all that.
I
What I
know
said
you
is,
didn't say that, but some people do, especially people are like, now is not the time to have a child because we can't afford it. No, there's never going to be a time because children cost so much more than you could ever imagine. And the costs don't end after the diapers stop and the formula. Everybody thinks about formula and diapers. Hello, they get more expensive as you go along. And so there's a long haul. You're just gonna have to live and adjust as you go and know that like you said, make your sacrifices along the way, but it won't feel like a sacrifice because it's just that's your new life, that's your new, you know what I
right.
mean? Like before I had my daughter, like how my paychecks were spent were totally different. Once I had her, everything just changed, and I like money I'll tell you, well, I ain't gonna get into all that, but certain things that I pay into, I didn't pay into before I had her. And I didn't feel it was necessary until I had her, and I was like, okay, now it's necessary, certain things. So, there's just yeah, it's just about adjusting and everything. Like we didn't even touch on any of I can't believe we stuck on this wedding thing. It's 11 o'clock. But then again, we started a little late, but now is I don't know. So we'll I do want to ask you guys if you guys have heard the Jay-Z album. I personally haven't because this is something we actually mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we talked and there was that 444 or 444, whatever,
Yeah.
that was going around New York and everybody was like guessing what that meant and who was posting it. And then it was connected to Tidal. And so people thought it was like a Jay-Z Beyonce collaboration or something like that. Well, Jay-Z cleared that all up and just recently dropped his 444. I don't know if I guess that's how people are saying it. His album,
It's
which
444.
yeah, which I haven't heard any of it. I just but quotes are being, thrown out there, and I like the quotes, and they're very Jay-Z-esque. Like he's, dropping his knowledge from his point of view. He's speaking on his relationship and touching on things that surfaced before with the whole member Solange in the elevator and
Yeah.
some people think some things are in response to Beyonce's Lemonade. And speaking of a couple who did their wedding it seemed like it was pretty, I wouldn't say cheap. I'm sure it wasn't cheap, but it was very low. It
You
seemed
what?
low key for them. And done it in a way that nobody knew about it until after, right? Jay-Z and Beyonce, obviously, that's what I'm speaking of. And and their ties continue to be very strong because she was also involved in this album. And No ID, one of the producers on the album, said that she was very much a part of almost approving things, and she had her say, or added her creative ideas and touches to the production and the songs and lyrics and stuff like that. So yeah, they're still going strong despite what some people might be saying and thinking. So have any of you heard?
The album?
I've just heard
Yeah, or songs from?
I've just heard personally 3 songs off the album. Family Feud. What was the other
That's the one
one?
that touches on the whole relationship, no?
Yeah,
With
yeah, that one. Yeah,
Solange. Okay.
the first single. I've heard 444, which you know, dope. And what was the other one? 444. Family Feud, and there was one other one. Oh, OJ, the first single that was
Oh,
dropped was
right.
OJ Story, right? Which
Life
I
of
think is like,
Oh,
yeah, whatever it is, I think is amazing. I think
Story of
he
OJ. Yeah,
just
that's what it is.
when it's OJ Story, whatever it is, that one was just off the chain for me. Like I saw aspect. I don't know if it was the official video. Well, I was seeing clips off of Instagram and stuff of that nature, and you know what? That video itself was totally fly, like to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big Jay Z fan to begin with. Not Jay Z the rapper, but Jay Z the businessman. I think that guy's a brilliant genius.
Yeah.
And
So that's my confession. I am not the biggest Jay-Z fan, music wise, but business wise, he's on point. So
yeah.
if
Oh, he's a but
yeah,
he
I
made
think
it.
both.
Made
I
it
think
all,
both.
yeah.
I
But you
mean,
remember
go ahead.
he's he's in our like speaking for myself, I can't speak for anybody else here. Kersey, Nettie, but I'm like, you know what? I grew up with Jay Z, and like, he's making adult rap, he's making man rap, and he's making like stuff for adults. Like I mean, like he's making hip hop, my school. So I'm like, I appreciate Jay Z's rap because his rap speaks to things that I can relate to. You know what I mean? Right now, it's like for me, it was needed. Like what I mean? Like wow, like right? The 3 tracks I heard, I haven't heard it. My nephew was actually supposed to send me it, but it was because he has title and all that, and I guess he got it, whatever it is. But the fact of me is, this is like when I heard the OJ Story and I heard Fam Feud, I was just like, yo, you know what? This was needed. Like, you know what I mean? And I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. And you see the quotes that are coming off and what he's spitting. It's like he's spitting real, like forget Blueprint 1, 2, and 3. He's spitting the real blueprint now about he talk as we were talking about generational wealth. He's talking about that stuff.
And
he's
classism.
talking.
I think that's what they're saying within the Black community, like where this is something I've heard, like he touches on that, and he spoke about I can't remember the quote now. There was from one of the songs about it doesn't matter how much you attain, you're still looked at in a certain way. Exactly, right? And with OJ, like when I heard the title and that's what they said, it kind of touches on classism. I remember a famous quote of OJ's when he said, when they were talking about when he was charged and getting the black, or no, at some point, sorry, him repping the Black community, and then OJ really like said this, I guess, with a straight face. He says, "No, but I'm not Black. I'm OJ." And so for some people, they get to a point where they 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 see themselves in a different light and a different place in society, where they don't they don't see they don't see it for what it is, the real. And so for Jay, like I think for him, at this point in his life and his career to say, listen, I know what it is, and I'm letting you guys know what it is, and I'm letting you know that I know what it is. You know what I mean? I think it's very powerful. And it's funny, I was having this conversation with someone about and I think we touched on it here too, but about rappers and me saying that there isn't a time limit on um if because if your delivery and Jay has a delivery that is timeless. He has one of those timeless styles, right? He has like a flow that is just conversational. Like he can I think it's like Nas, I think like a lot of the great rappers, like they don't have a gimmicky flow. You know what I mean? And so, and as long as you have the right content to match that, I think you're timeless. And it's just now, what are you, your content? Like, what are you rapping about? Because clearly, I don't want to hear Jay-Z rapping on a whole album about what he's wearing and the parties he's going to and his cars. Like, that's below you to me right now. You know what I mean? And I'm saying use your platform, use your intelligence, your experience, your knowledge to uplift everybody and anybody, especially us. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why this works. And like you're saying, Kinetic, like he speaks to and not even just our generation, like it's well, you guys are a little older, yes, but but within range, because that's what he was trying to say earlier, but within that range. But I think it's dope too, like for a young one now, like someone in their 20s, like early 20s, to be hearing this, and they can say, okay, like they, because he gets crazy respect from the young community as well. You know what I mean? People who
You
can
gotta remember,
recognize.
again, it's not necessarily Jay-Z's rap ability or his lyrics thing. It's the fact remains is that he's such a successful businessman. It's the same regard that if you're a drug dealer, you're a successful drug dealer, or you're successful. If you have money, people perk up listening because you can back up what you talk about.
True,
And
but
at the
not
end of the
everybody
day,
can flow. Not everybody can. No, listen. You
yeah,
got to give this man. He has a voice that you can listen to. That's not.
yeah,
It's not too high. It's not too low. It's not squeaky. It's
not
not
saying no.
irritating. No, he has, and he can deliver. Like he gets. I don't know what the word is, but
He
like
got Biggie's rhyme book. We all
yeah, like
understand that.
and that's me.
You know,
Like I've listen, and that's my dude. Rest in peace. Like and Big, and I always
yeah.
say if Big was around, it would have changed the course of Jay-Z's career, but it wouldn't have killed. And I think Jay-Z would still be successful and in many ways and still be able to put out this album. And so I've never put him down in that way because again, like he has a nice flow and he has an ear for a flow over a beat, and not everybody who is successful and has something to say can say it over music or a beat. Let's put it that way. Like some of the
As you said
yeah,
though, he's not gimmicky. All Jay-Z, Nas, J. Cole, all
yeah,
them,
they
they
just
speak or in rhythm,
mhm.
and they're not really rapping. They speak and they make words because when you speak and you speak in rhythm, you can make words that not work, right?
Yes.
So if you listen to like he speaks very eloquently. He has a lot of knowledge, and he has high intelligence, and he knows how to combine words and rhythm to make things happen. I'm not saying that Jay-Z's a bad rapper. What I am saying is the respect is not off his lyrics. His main respect is off
Legacy.
his business ethic.
Oh,
But they
definitely.
say
I think a lot of people
and he
look and
say and they
say,
say
go ahead.
he is like, you know what, like he's one of the best of all time. But it's not that if you really listen to Jay-Z, you know what, he's not really one of the best rappers out there. He is very good at what he does, and he sounds aesthetically nice, but he's not as good as everybody makes him sound. It's more about he's the best of our time because of the money he has made and the business moves he's made off of it.
Yes, exactly. And not only that,
Just like
because
Kendrick Lamar is not one of the best of all time. He's overrated to me. But sorry, go
yeah,
on, Eddie.
but the part with Jay-Z is that not only he does have a good flow to it as well, but yeah, just like how you're saying, he's probably the most like for legacy wise of the whole Jay-Z empire. That's kind of what made him and is keeping him in the game. Because if you look at a radio station, for example, right, they're gonna want ratings and stuff. Are they gonna play a local Toronto rapper, or they're gonna play Jay-Z because Jay-Z is out there known? They're gonna push Jay-Z down your throat so you can hear it all the time. So I don't think it's just the
or Drake, or yeah.
What's that? Say it
Or I
again?
said, or Drake, or whoever it is. You're right. Like you're 100%
Right.
right.
You're gonna be forced. You're gonna be force fed these rappers to say that they're the best because it's the only thing you're gonna hear on the radio. And I'm not gonna discredit him to say that he doesn't have a good flow, but his legacy is what carries him further, in my opinion. Because if you put up like Jay-Z, and then he put up a whole bunch of other like rappers who are just rappers, and you have them go and do their stuff, you're going to hear some other guys who have some good talent and everything, but they don't have the money and the backative and the radio stations and whatever else. Like, let's say again.
I said, put a KRS-One against them. Put a Big L. Put a again, a Big against them. Put a Nas against them. Put a I'll even put him up there. Put an M against them.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, put like a Cool G Rap against him.
Yeah. But a lot of these
put a Joel Ortiz against him.
Yeah, exactly.
Them guys will eat his food.
Right.
Like straight. Right? But what it comes down to, he's one of the best of all time because of his business acumen and the amount he sell. So when again, you know what I mean? All these guys are saying that Jay, like, it's not Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. There's a lot of other rappers that should be in that category.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even Tupac was overrated, but his content was like, lyrically, Tupac wasn't the best rapper. What it came down to, his content, however, was amazing. And his workflow and his poetry was amazing.
Yeah.
But he wasn't one of the best rappers.
No.
People get caught up in the nostalgia. That's like the same thing that's happened with Kendrick Lamar. If you listen to Kendrick Lamar, he's not a good rapper.
Yeah, exactly.
I like him,
but this is where
him.
This is where now I always say, I go back to saying to each his own kind of thing, and what sounds appealing to one person and a style that appeals to one person, you have an audience for another rapper that is their favorite, that is their type of flow, that's how they want to hear their words delivered, that's how they want to hear a MC ride the beat, like that's their style. Just like a singer, you have singers who there are people that think different people are the greatest singer. Now, obviously there's going to be more to it. It's the package, it's the performance, it's the hype, it's other things factor in, but they actually like that type of singing and the type of lyrics that the person's coming with, and their ear isn't so trained on like perfect pitch, and so that's not what qualifies a singer for them. Just
I'll give you an example.
Let me just finish. So and I think when my position with rappers, and it also applies to ballers and other artists and athletes and people that where your own personal style comes into play. It's I always say, why does there always have to be a top 5, or why is there always the best of anything? I think with this type of thing, it's such a different it's so different, and we need 20, 30, 40 rappers in the game. Like, how could anybody want just the top 5? And I know that's not what anybody's saying, they want just the top 5, but by kind of saying, well, yeah, pick 5 if that's all you can listen to, and okay, you that comes into your when you're choosing tracks for your own personal, play, what is it? Play
Your own playlist.
playlist, yeah. Oh my gosh. Or you know what I mean, what you're gonna
Yeah.
hear in your car and stuff like that. But I'm saying, okay, really? Would you really want to say these are the only 5 rappers I'm gonna listen to, and everywhere you go, that's it? Is it gonna No, you need variety, man. You need to mix it up. And you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear something. But I do agree, Kinetic, like the key to Jay's success from the beginning, and what has continued to keep his fans, I think, is his come up. And people who may not even, like, I know guys that rap is not even their first thing. Like they'll play their reggae, their dancehall all day, but when they do speak of a rapper, yeah, Jay, because there's certain things that they can relate to, or certain things they respect of him
Or
as his
or
come up.
it's because they only hear Jay-Z all the time. Then
No,
people,
yes, I agree with that too. I agree with you too, because they don't go deep into, okay, hearing and knowing about other artists that are doper, like who are like there are some artists that seem to just live, breathe, eat, sleep hip hop. Like they just, even people like the way they speak, they just sound like hip hop. Like they just sound like they're rapping when they speak. Like I've met people like that. They just ooze. That's just them. And you can't. It's just like people who sing. There are people who sing. They've never made it professionally, but when they touch a mic and you're like, oh my goodness, it's like one of the prettiest voices. Like I've heard that for myself.
I'll give you
And
I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
Right now, and this is all my whole point that I'm going to make right now is based around the hype about Jay-Z, and the hype about different rap artists and stuff like that. So I'm going to take it away from rap for a second. I deal with some youth at the community center sometimes as well, right? So talking to them about different things, they talk about music and stuff, right? And they're playing some of the music that they listen to right now. I don't know the rappers' names and stuff like that, but it's kind of like mumble rap or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So the reason why these guys are listening to it is because the rest of the people are listening to it, and
Oh yeah.
it caught on, right? If I play some like a hip hop song from back in the days that you can hear all the lyrics to, you can pay attention. The guy might be telling a story, and the beat is good. They're not going to like it. Why? Because one person or two people aren't going to like it, and then they catch on, and then it doesn't catch on,
Hmm.
right? But as soon as something gets popular, everybody starts to like and listen to it. That's how Jay-Z stays where he is, because of his popularity. Not, and I'm not going to say that his stuff isn't good, but I'm just saying that he is where he is because of popularity. It's almost like the fidget spinners that people have right now. It's a dumb gadget that somebody made, but it caught on because people are passing around. The kids are passing around, and now every kid has this fidget spinners that they're selling it all over the place. You get what I mean?
Hmm.
It's more of a
But
popularity. It's a popularity thing that catches on, and then people are drawn to it because other people are catching on to it and drawn to it. But do they really actually like the fidget spinner? Do they really actually like it? Are they really
you know what? To
loving? Are they
answer
loving? Are they
on
loving Jay-Z for Jay-Z's music, or are they loving Jay-Z because it's the in thing right now? And if you don't say that you love Jay-Z, you'll be an outcast.
No, I think Jay-Z has earned his place, and he's so I hear what you're saying, but he has that, and he has people's ear, because he's been in the game for like 20 years. He's been
Yeah,
longer,
but
lot
the,
longer. Like
but
he's
one
been
thing,
20 plus years.
yeah,
He's been around, so he's earned the right to have people eat it up, whatever he puts out, versus
he can put right now. Jay-Z can put out something that is kind of sort of mediocre, and it'll still go. It'll still go, and people will still
I
buy
don't
it.
think so. Here's
Jay-Z's
the
at the
thing. If Jay-Z came out trying to sound like what's happening now and talking shit, sorry, for lack of a better word, people would call him out on it, because you can't Nah, I don't think anybody can just put anything out. I think he has to be him and give something that comes from like only what something give us something only Jay-Z could give us.
No,
Even
I
though he
disagree.
has the name. No, I think
Because people follow other people like sheep. Look at Kanye West. Kanye West released a shirt that has a whole bunch of holes in it and sold for how much? Thousands of dollars, right? People, because it's Kanye West, they're gonna go buy a shirt that has Kanye's name on it, but it's just a ripped up shirt that has a whole bunch of holes in it.
yeah,
It's
but
hype.
you can't that's something different. That's fashion, that's style, that's something different. And
It's
there are
music too,
things
music and fashion.
No, there are things that can be trends. And fashion is something that, something can come in and be really hot for a season and be gone. And and if it's tied to certain people that are considered fashionable, that's just how it is, and that's just how
Yeah.
that works. But
If somebody buying the shirt with holes in it because it's a shirt with holes in it, or they're buying it because it's Kanye who made the shirt, is my point. Are they
well,
buying it? Would you, so if I just said, here, I'm gonna give you a shirt with holes in it that I made
no, but
myself.
obviously, I mean that's fashion. But what I'm saying is there are people that like Kanye as a artist, but would never wear his shoes or would probably never wear that shirt. So
Right.
there are people that will call that out and say, "Nah, that you're not. That's not my style." But they like him as a, and there are even people who like Kanye more as a producer than as a rapper. You know what I
That
mean? So you have different uh and then yes, you have a bulk of society that just anything that comes from, I mean, speaking of Kanye, you speak of Kim Kardashian. She just put out a product and it sold out within seconds. They say she made $14 million within a few minutes because people will buy a beauty related product from someone that they look at and think is beautiful, and because her name's on it and they can say I have the, and that's just kind of a part of that beauty culture. And but there are some people that won't buy into it, but so then you're going to have the critiques like, okay, I got it, but it's actually crap. You know what I mean? Don't buy it. You'll have people that are going to be real about it, not just because their name stamped on it. They're going to say, oh, it's the greatest thing. And there are going to be people that actually are going to be more critical of it because they're like, oh, just because your name's on it, you think I'm going to buy it. So they're going to actually critique it and be harder on it. So you kind of get people from different point of view. I hear what you're saying, but I don't think with Jay-Z, I don't think it's a popularity thing. I think it's and the buzz that he's getting. I haven't heard it, but the buzz that he's getting, people are actually throwing out quotes that actually are saying something to people. And like Kinetic can be speaking of an experience like the OJ story or story of OJ. Sorry, I think that's what it's called. And saying, yo, that is dope. Like, you know what I mean? And it's not just fluff. So I couldn't but but
No, but you
but
see,
Jay-Z, he has the ear, he has your attention because of his popularity. But just because you have someone's attention doesn't mean that it's because and perfect example, I'll tell you, one of my favorite Nas, sorry. Nas, Nas's first album, he has not been able to touch that first album. And people,
but here,
there
but
are
here,
people that
but here,
say there are people that say that will call out his albums that came after, and there are people who think his career should be a lot, he should be bigger and better than what he did. And so I don't agree that just because you're popular and your name's out there that you're guaranteed success if you're coming with whack
but here's the
material.
thing, right? But I'm gonna give two controversial statements, right? Going back to what you're saying, I believe Jay-Z, Beyonce, Drake, those guys have earned their place where they're at. They've put out the music and gotten popular and been
I
marketed to a
agree.
point where now even if they put out BS, people are gonna still say it's good.
exactly.
But they won't necessarily put
Some, you'll have
they won't
some, but
necessarily put out. No,
not
no,
the
no, that's
majority.
what I'm saying is it's not. But the radio's gonna play it regardless. Like to me,
Yes.
okay,
Yes. I agree.
like two tracks, my two all-time favorite tracks from Jay-Z are "Can't Not the Hustle" off his first album, Reasonable Doubt, and believe it or not, I think lyrically, Jay-Z's best one of like out of the 10 albums or 13, whatever 13 albums that he's dropped, what it came down to is "Friend or Foe." People, it wasn't his popular song; it was probably one of his shortest songs,
Mm.
but "Friend or Foe" lyrically was the best track that guy ever did. I'm a lyrics dude. I'll sit down and shout out Ian Espinay. We'll talk about lyrics. He's a lyrics dude too, right? And I just don't buy into, you know what I mean? I don't buy into it's like the, for instance, LeBron James. He was marketed as King James. He's not the best player. Like, but everybody buys into
Don't
it
say
because
that,
of marketing.
Jersey LeBron lover.
I know, but that's my point. And I'm saying is like, you know what? Another controversial statement. AZ killed everything he did on Life's a Bitch, killed everything Nas did in that 116 bars.
Yeah.
Off of Nas's whole album. If you go back and listen to that, if you listen to AZ's
I love
point
AZ,
off Life's
and
a
I'll give him
Bitch,
his props, but you're telling me
he killed everything that Nas did on that album, period, in that 16 bars. AZ had the better lyric off its. If you pit every track that Nas did, and you listen to AZ and then go line bar for bar, tell me which track was better than AZ's.
You're talking show business.
Yeah, no. AZ, like I'm talking about AZ.
Who was part of Nas's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. I loved AZ. I had higher expectations, but he didn't.
Yeah.
No, he didn't deliver. And to me, it takes more than like I wouldn't make a statement like that based on a couple.
But I'm saying is, go and seriously listen to the tracks. You know what? Pull out the insert. Read AZ's lyrics and then go line for line, bar for bar, and go back and forth and listen to AZ's track. Even you know what? New York State of Mind is my favorite. My favorite.
Love that. Yep.
Is my favorite Nas track.
Yeah.
Right. Ironic. That's my favorite of all time.
I can't pick a fave. I love it. It's one of my faves.
And the gun one.
Yeah.
And the gun. And what's the one? Talk about gun.
When he's like
whatever
he's a gun. Yeah. Okay.
I'm a gun.
Yep.
I'm a gun.
Yep. I don't know what it's called, but that's not on the first album, right? That's on the second or one of his other albums. Yeah.
But those two are simply amazing.
Yeah.
But AZ still killed 95% of Nas's album. Like where Nas really shone was against Jay-Z. Where everybody thought that Nas was dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't, and you know what? I allow people to have their opinion. I would not agree with that. I could not agree with that. I couldn't. But I hear what you're saying. And the same.
We're talking about popularity.
No, it's not even
popularity versus reality.
Nah, and not even popularity. I just think it's different. And you guys were mentioning some other artists if you were to put them up against. And I'm thinking KRS, like I love KRS. Like don't ask me to do anything or anything, but for me musically, I'm one of these people that I need variety. And as dope as someone is, you can't fill all my need for anything. And I think that's the beauty of having different rappers that give different styles for different moods.
Different moods for different things. West Coast rap, like you know what? Ice Cube is underrated. Ice Cube was an amazing rapper. Total different style. But Ice Cube was honestly underrated. He should be in the talks of one of the greatest rappers of all time. But it was because he was West Coast.
No, and I think for a lot of people he is and I mean for some people they just couldn't get with what he was saying or his style. It's just different. But I hear what you're saying as far as popular, and that goes back to the record labels at the time, the marketing, and just how things were done, and how radio and other media like magazine covers. So if you see someone on 3 magazine covers, they must be important. You know what I mean? And that's just how everything is. But I think the beauty of people who actually produce something, so they're not just there for their looks, let's say, they actually produce something that you can now sit in your own room, your car, whatever, and listen to it and decide for yourself. And people, yeah, when you're out, lyrically, you're going to be rapping and going along and stuff like that, but it boils down to sales as well. And I think that's where people show if they
But no, but
really
that's
are.
marketing and popularity. Because there's a time for everything, though. There's a time. Like, listen, I never until I started to DJ Aristotle's stuff. I never understood trap. I hated it. I thought it was the worst music in the world. But you know what? There's tracks out there that I really feel because you know what? It's
Yep.
club music. That mumble rap is not right. Like there's a lot of little Uzi stuff. There's a lot of you know what? Like who else is there? Like I mean, of course, Future, and there's a lot of little herb stuff, feeling and like you know what I mean, and never listened to in a while in a million years. But when you're in a club and this trap is bumping, that's what it is. You're in. Every era has its time. Every era is supposed to have its time and allow their own music. Like rock and roll for our parents or gospel, or whatever it may be, was rebel music. And then then they had heavy metal, and then our generation was a mixture of everything from new wave punk to flipping to hip hop and reggae and soca.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's trap. It's their time. Mumble rap. We may not understand it, but at the same time, it is what it is. It's time to allow them to have their space, and there's a time for that. Me, would I listen to outside the club? Hell no. I don't care. I don't care too.
And I do, like, I mean, if I have like, I still use CDs, but and if I have something and I'm in my car, depends. I might be in the mood and I'll listen to it. But I'll listen to, and there's some that, you know, um that sound better than others based on, okay, what is this person saying, and this person's voice and their delivery, their style. There's some that just, it actually does sound, and I always go back to, I tell people, I think it's, there are people that it's just real to, it's authentic, and you could tell this is their thing. Um, Whatever genre they are. It's like there's people who might do a like, what's her face? Lady Gaga did something on her last album, which was popular. I think she got a lot of, but it was like kind of like a country kind of vibe. And she didn't go all the way like she's trying to be, but when I saw her on stage performing, she had a like a cowboy hat. I was like, okay, this just does not, like, you lyric, like what she's singing, it sounds like her lyrics, but her delivery on some of the words, I was like, that just doesn't sound authentic. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, sometimes you could just feel that. And then there are other singers that they don't have to even be labeled country. When you hear them sing and they're dressed in clothes that Beyonce could be wearing, they sing and it just, they give you that country flow, that country flavor, like that style. And it's so, I think certain things, even with the trap, like you could tell people who's been living this and been rapping like this has just been their thing for years, you know what I mean? And it's popular now, but yo, this has been me, versus people that are like, okay, this is the style to do. And like, I think Lil Kim, for instance, love her, but I still do. But she did something last year. I can't remember which song she did over. And I was like, it just doesn't sound good, Kim. This is not you. Like,
Right.
the pitch of your voice, the style you're trying to do, I was like, you just sound like an old chick trying to be new right now. And that's not you. Come with your authentic Kim flow, and just, but be able to ride the current beats and stuff like that. That's it. And I think good rappers, that's,
But that also comes with good producers, good marketing team, good A&Rs.
I
Your whole
think,
team coming to you and saying, "No, Kim, don't go with the flow. That doesn't suit you. That's not going to go out. We're destroying this."
yeah,
Same
but that comes, you
come
should
back.
know, and this is where certain artists who know themselves and they can just hear, yeah, and between you, it can just be you and a producer, and you should be able to listen to this and play back and say if it sounds dope or not. And if you can't tell that as an artist, I don't think you should be an artist.
But you see, I
You
don't. I,
shouldn't be.
on
You
one
should
respect,
just
I hear,
rap for fun and that's it. But you should not be a legit artist. You can't. You're
but
not.
I agree with one respect what you're saying. But I also believe that rappers should like push themselves. You know, evolve. Like you know what? Yeah, you have your selling brace and stuff of that nature. But you know what? At the end of the day, if you're trying something new, allow that artist to grow. Sounds good
Yeah,
as long
there's
as it
new, but
sounds.
there's not. You're not. There is new in. You can add. Obviously, one thing one thing I don't like as well is are old school rappers um that want to be, if you're going to be someone who's pulled on and you're going to just perform your classics and that's what you're there for. But if you want to be considered a now current artist, you have to come with now current material. It's like, I'll say like a Celine Dion or something. Like, love your old stuff, but if you are going to put out an album right now, you have to have new, unless it's a remake or something, but you got to have new material and it has to sound like Celine too. But obviously, to
Well,
me,
I'm using a prime example.
what's
Sorry, go on.
new is the beats you're on and what you're talking about. But
Yeah, current content. Yeah,
who you are is who you are. That's
but
it. And you can
but
add
I'm gonna
little
use.
elements and have fun with something, but you can't sound like a totally different person to me, or you're just trying to be the 2017 version of, or you're just trying to be a 2017 artist and without k- bringing what we loved in 1997. You know what I mean? From you.
But as I was about to say, for a primary example, like one of the artists that has sticks out totally, that has changed his style totally, was The Weeknd. If you've been following Weekend from Balloons, you know what I mean, and Echo and stuff of that nature, he does not. He went pop, but he was allowed. We allowed him to grow as an artist. He was in a dark place. It was drug music. It was stripper music. It was whatever it was, and he caught his buzz. But you know what? I can't feel my face with you, or like you know what, or that new track he did with Daft Punk sounds so Michael Jacksonish. We
Mhm.
all knew he was from back then. Michael Jackson when he did Billie Jean off that mixtape, he was like, he redid that. It's like you know what, the weekend was the weekend, but he did a Michael Jacksonish track. If you listen to him on that one track he did with Puffer, I can't remember what it is. It's so Michael Jacksonish,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what? Like. So it's just one of those things. But we allowed him to grow as an artist, and it
But
sounds
how long?
good. So allow
What
him
is?
to continue that.
I haven't followed him. But what's the span of his career? How long has he been as
It's
a legit
relatively
selling
it's
artist?
relatively new. It's like maybe I'd give him maximum 8 years.
No, I'm talking as a charting selling artist, not
Yeah,
as
well,
a
you remember
struggling
he was
artist.
underground. I'm talking about his mixtapes on like
Okay, I'm
Echoes,
not talking
Balloons,
about that. I'm
off the
not talking
Balloons.
about that. I'm
No, but
talking
that
about
I'm talking about from his first project though. When you got to remember he came after Drake. Drake discovered him and brought him out. Drake hasn't even been around that long.
right, but so what I'm saying is in a young career, I would expect that. Just like Rihanna, I mean, when we're introduced, if you're going to say 5 years, let's say, but I'm talking about, like, we're talking about Jay-Z, like someone who's been around in, you know, the early 90s, like, or, like people who established themselves there for you to say, like, don't get me wrong, like, I don't want you to come and sound exactly like a track you did in 1995 in 2017. Like, you can grow, but I think um who you are is who you are, and part of what
But
makes
who you
people
are, who
love
you
you.
evolve into are like that part. If you, as long as you're not just putting out a track just to put out a track to sound like the trend that's going on,
And
like you know,
that's my issue, and that's what I'm saying. And it's not so much the track, like the beat, because obviously if you say, and this is where the brilliance is, if you say now, I'm a Jay-Z and this is my style, like I sound like Jay-Z. My voice may have changed with age, but I am the same man, and but give me a current beat, and I'm gonna
But
flip it a little, and I'm gonna ride this beat in a different way. But I still hear that, and I'm like, yo, that's Jay-Z though. But he's not
Ray,
trying to sound like anybody else. But his style is adapted to suit that particular track, and people, good artists, do that even in the beginning of their career, the middle of their
I know,
career.
but
You
see,
know
the
what I mean?
thing was with Jay Z, he remember he's established himself to a certain point, and he has a consistent sound. He doesn't not he specifically makes adult music now. He raps adult. He makes
Well,
music for my
now,
age now.
yeah, because he's coming from
But
from his point of view.
yeah,
And
but he look remember,
once you're
but
being
Jay Z
real,
started.
you know, when you were when him, and even the last that look with him and Kanye, they did that joint album, and what he was spitting on that, like, it was about his experience and his life, and that is authentic, and especially when we're talking rap, like, where it's a story, and it's like, you know, there are some great artists that tell stories, like, there are storytellers, and then
Like
there are
Rick,
people that,
Oz.
right? Yeah. And I mean, even Big, like, he could just talk about anything, any subject that man touched, he could grab your attention because the way he said things. And I think but I think y- you know your audience, and then you know yourself, and I think, yeah, once you know that. So back to Nettie's point, popularity gets people's attention, but and yes, you have some hardcore, like, fans that you can do no wrong in their eyes, but you also have a large part of the population that may reject it. And I think that's even a fear of a lot of artists, why they don't, established older artists don't drop new stuff, because it's like, okay, you come now and you drop something and it's not accepted. That's probably the worst thing, to go out like on a flop. You know what I mean?
But you know,
So
but what I was trying to point, I was trying to make when I was complimenting your point, but it also was kind of varying away from it. Was this is that look, when Jay Z started out, Jay Z was a speed rapper. Those, like, you know, DOS effects kind of that, you know, he was that speed rapper. He evolved into a contemporary adult rapper. But his last 5 albums, he reestablished himself. Remember, he reinvented himself like 3 times before he's become the rapper that he is right now.
I don't know. It's just, that's just, I don't think about
From American
reinventing. I
Gangster.
think he just grew. He just was
No,
saying
but
certain things.
that's my
Even his
point. No, but he
voice
did
sounds
reinvent.
different.
Think about it.
Yeah, but
Wait,
he's
wait,
not.
give me
But he's
give
still.
me a sec. I'll prove it. Hard Not Life was his breakthrough. This is a hard not life for us, right? That was his breakthrough. Is that anything that sounds like OJ right now?
I
No.
haven't heard the
He
OJ
invented
track,
himself
but what
three
I'm
different
saying
times,
is no. But that's
made
not.
himself who he is now.
It's not reinventing. It's who
Of
you
course it
are,
is.
and it's just. Listen, I have a girlfriend that I've been friends with since we were 8 years old. Okay, and we are now grown women. Okay, I'm not gonna go into details about the number, but we are big and grown. And sometimes we have conversations, and we're still, I'm still care, she's still who she is, and we we know how we're going to react to things kind of in a certain way, but because we know who we are. But our conversations, the topics of our conversations, our focus in life have changed. We laugh about how in the beginning our conversations were about this, and then we were on this, and remember when we first started experiencing this, and first crushes, first love, first relation, first heartbreak, and we go through, you know, first children, and like, and now, and then we laugh and we say, yo, when we're 60, we're going to be talking about, like, think of the future, and we're going to be talking about our bones, and we're going to be talking about, and we just laugh to say, but we are still who we are, and we connect because, but I'm still authentically me, and she's still, and I know what her take, when I bring a scenario to her, I know what her take is going to be, because she's more of a, you know, she's a more careful person. She doesn't really jump too quick on things. She thinks about things, like, so that's kind of, and that has been her through life. But and our voices have changed. Our, just our style, our fashion sense have tweaked and stuff like that. We were just talking, like she was
But
talking.
that's natural growth. We're talking about an
Right, and
artist.
and this is what
Thing
I'm
with
saying.
Jay
So
Z is he did
no. So what
reinvent
I was going
himself
to
three
bring it
times
back.
before he became the artist.
I don't agree with that. I don't think it's reinventing.
But
I think it's
if you're
growth.
telling me if you were a
I
speed,
think it's
but
growth.
KRC, if you're a speed rapper to begin with in your career, right? And then you become a gimmicky kind of rapper with the Hard Knock Life.
I don't
It's
think
not
that was gimmicky, because
like
if you
American
the
Gangster's
Hard Knock Life song, when you're saying that to me, and to me that wasn't gimmicky. That the difference was he's using a hook that came from somewhere that we wouldn't imagine and putting it. But when you listen
but
to
his
his
rap style
flow,
was totally different.
nah, but he wasn't rapping. It's a hard
His
knock. Like,
rap
no, if
flow
you
was
listen
totally
to
different.
his flow, like his flow, yeah, he's like da
Totally
da da
different.
da 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 da. Like, but to me,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, if I was to play one track of every year of Jay-Z from the beginning, what he's put out to the top, I think you're going to hear the same person at the
No, and
core.
that's my point. But I've
Nah,
just said to
and
you
this is where I
from the
would
beginning,
disagree with you.
when he
Okay.
started off, he was a gimmicky, fast rapper.
Yeah.
We're talking about speed rapper. He was
No,
not. And I'm gonna say to you, right? You can argue the point or not, or you can agree with it. What it
I
comes
don't
down to,
agree.
how can you argue? How can you argue? Nani, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that Nas is the same rapper he was when he started back in what 2009 or whatever it was, like 100 years ago? Like he was a
Nas?
speed rapper. No,
No,
sorry.
no.
Oh, Jay-Z, mean.
Huh?
Nas, you're talking, right?
What
No,
I'm
no,
saying is,
Jay-Z.
not Nas. Sorry, Jay-Z. He was a speed rapper first. Then he became a bimmy rapper, a gimmicky rapper. In the thing, his breakthrough was Hard Not Life. After that, you gotta remember, his real maturity came in with what was that track? Sorry, that album where it was like the cover where he had the New York hat on, but then he also, like, you took off the red thing. It was like uh it's like he had a New York hat on and then he had a business thing on, but you had to take off the sleeve, and it was two different. That's where he kind of changed. That's where he said in it, what I gotta find the album, but it was he was saying, I'm changed. Yo, I can flip back and forth. I can be that gangster, or I can be that businessman. That's where he started becoming, like, an adult. Then New York Gangster came out. That's where he got his flow now. Then the Black Album, he was still the same thing. But Blueprint 1, Blueprint 2, all that stuff was totally different than he is now. You put out
Yeah.
this album now, he is 100% a different rapper than he was back in Blueprint 1, 2, and 3.
Mm.
He's not the same rapper. If you listen to the flow, he's switched up his flow a couple times.
Yeah.
He slowed down and became that groove guy later on, as I said, in that one album, which I can't remember its name right now, where he had the red. I wish somebody could help me out right now.
No, but here's my point, and I think
But
we could look at it, um, in different ways, because I think there's different sides. There's tracks he did with Foxy Brown. There's tracks he did that were more even with
Pharrell.
Jermaine Dupri, right? He was on that. Like, there's different sides of a person, even going back to the early artists. But my point
But he was
is,
a
if
singer,
I
a
took
sing
an
Jay.
album, no, but
Sing Jay.
no, but I think
He was.
Jay-Z has that.
Ferrari and Jaguar,
Yeah, but I think Jay-Z still has
Do you
that.
singing now?
But no, but I haven't heard this album. But I think
What?
Jay-Z. No, but what I'm saying to you is, I think he still consistently through his career had that flow that he could, like, even on that album
No,
as recent
that
as
3 times
with
smash his tempo on time.
you
That's
know
all.
what, I don't think Jay-Z is a gimmicky rapper that changes his style to fit the time he's in. I think he himself, there is something to say for individual growth, change, because you can't yes, some people, they have the same exact flow from the beginning to end, but we haven't seen that many artists surpass over a 25-year or 20-year career to really compare to say, how has this person changed and how have they not? What I'm saying is, I don't think Jay-Z is a adapt to the moment right now, and I'm going to sound like this right now.
No,
no,
nobody's
I
saying
think
that.
anything that sounds a little different or tweaked or changed is just his natural, like, this is what I want to do on this one. This is what I want to play with here. And that's an artist to me. But I think despite despite the vocal changes, because his voice sounds, even his voice sounds more mature when you compare. Like, sometimes I listen back to some old stuff. Funny enough, I won't even go too far, but I found some old CD cassettes that still play, by the way. Amazing. And like, like Clue and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. And like radio stuff, I used to tape off the radio and stuff like that. But like, I think if I was to take an out, like, because Jay-Z's had a lot of albums, if I was to take a track from each one and play it, I would and put it, build it like from one track and like have 20 tracks, and I think you would still say, okay, this is the same artist, not based on just the voice.
I'd really love to test that theory, because as I said,
okay. Well, you know what? I am going to see if someone will do this for me, because they do actually like Jay-Z. So I don't think it would be a stretch for them to do it. And we can all three of us can get a copy, and we'll go from there. And I'll test out my young nephews. I'll test them out, the young ones.
But I would love to say, I'm just going to say, I'm going to tell you the transition point, though. And again, I'm going to say, from Reasonable Doubt, he was a different style. Then he changed, like Blueprint 1. Then he changed again, come the Black Album. Then there was a 3-year gap. The album I was talking to when he reinvented himself again for the third time was Kingdom Come. That's when he became mature. That's the real maturity right there. That's the Jay-Z we know now. And then after that, he what's the call again? He got into like American Gangster, and now he has this album. Jay-Z has transitioned 4 times. It wasn't even 3. It was 4 times he transitioned.
It depends, and this is where I think where it's different. I don't what you are describing as transitioning versus me saying he's still the same artist.
If I'm a speed
there's
rapper,
growth and there's change. No, and I think.
But if I'm a speed rapper, then I become a Sing J, and gimmickly Ferrari and Jaguar, and he's doing that, and then he becomes the slow down, mature.
But he never was consistently singing on any track. Like, if you listen, he still delivers. Nah, even on that track, he wasn't.
You know what?
Even on that track.
Just other opinion, you're gonna come back and say, you know what, you're right.
I really doubt
I always do this. She argues just to argue the point.
No, I'm not. And first of all, you're the one who kept coming at me saying I different, and I'm like, okay, and you see things different. I think what we consider change versus growth,
how can you argue?
Or switching versus growth. No, what I'm saying is what you see as switching
to a Sing J.
Because like I just said with The Weeknd, for instance, when someone's finding themselves in the first 5 years to 8 years, 5 years, I'm not even going to stretch it to 10 years, but the first 5 years of their career, I don't think that's switching. I think that's you're young. You're late teens. You're late teens. And what I'm saying, like when I brought in my personal experience of having conversations, you change, like what you talk about, how you say things. You're trying out different things, and then you get into
we're talking about delivery. We're just talking. You're talking about content. You're talking about sound of voice mature.
No, and I am talking about delivery too.
I am talking. I'm talking about
even oh God, what was that other? Okay, there was a song on I can't. You know what? I'm so bad with this. This is why you don't hear me quoting stuff and everything. But there's a song as recent on one of his I think it's the same Watch the Throne or one of the more recent albums where he kind of went into a different flow and
okay.
And he goes into flow because I don't think you contain one sound. Like he's not an artist. He's shown he's an artist that he doesn't have.
Help me out on this. Kersey is not.
You look at it as okay. Anyway, I'm done because
I'm saying, Nettie, help me out on this. if I'm like right, that's my first style, and then I turn into Ferrari and Jaguar 6-4 thing, ding ding money anything. Is that not two different styles?
Yes.
And then you go to, you know what? I'm cool, and whatever it is, and now you're on this straight. Have you not reinvented yourself 4 different times?
Yes.
And that's my point. It's not about growth. He has reinvented himself. Growth is, you know what, short period of time, like The Weeknd, who started on his dark journey and now sounds like Michael Jackson. He hasn't reinvented himself again. He just transitioned from one style to who he is now. Jay-Z is he knows who he is as an artist. And what has Jay-Z done is he was young. Then he went to Sing J. Then he went to, rap. And now he went to adult contemporary rap. He's reinvented himself 4 times.
For the time.
How can you argue that?
He reinvented himself for the time so he can still make money and be current.
He's reinvented himself. He's not growth. It's not maturity. He's a very articulate, very intelligent businessman. And what's happened is, yes, he's transitioned. Yes, he's changed. But after, he's been in the game for 20 plus years. At a certain point, you reinvent. Nas is one person that has never reinvented himself. Nas has been Nas right throughout his whole career. Jay-Z is not one of those guys.
And that can be argued because the Nas that came out on the first album, people missed it and they felt he went trying to be current. But but I'll let you have the last say on that because but what I will say to you, Nettie, because you just said something else. You said about switching to be sellable, and I'm thinking the style that you are saying, because I have not heard any of the OJ, the current, the 444, but correct me if I'm wrong, the 444 sounds nothing like trap, right? I think that's what you're trying to say, is it sounds like a grown, slowed down, old man rap.
Adult contemporary.
Okay, so to your point, Nettie. Okay, all right. Okay, and I'm done with that. But to your point, Nettie, that's not what Jay-Z's, clearly that's not what he's doing then. He's not trying to sound like like the most popular artist right now to sell. He's being the 48, 47-year-old man that he is, speaking from, or whatever he is. I know he's like beyond 45, I think. So he's being that age man with the experience he has. So I'm just saying to you, I think the difference is how we look at things. But I think I'm gonna really see if I can get on that picking songs that follow his career and say, does he sound like a person who's just like flowed through and just given different styles and sound different, and this all embodies like this one artist, or does he sound like someone who was flip-flopping until he found where he was? Because clearly,
he grew and reinvented himself as an artist. But what has happened is over the last 5 albums, or even 4 albums, he's just said Jay-Z doesn't have to switch his style. Before he made, you got to remember, he was not a popular artist up until Hard Knock Life.
No, I would disagree with that.
Breakthrough.
I would disagree with that.
He was not a worldwide artist. His first breakthrough track was Hard Knock Life.
And some people would argue he didn't become a worldwide artist until he married Beyonce. Because there were a lot of I've heard that there are a lot of people.
That same style, that was the time when he broke it. It was Hard Knock Life and then H to the Izzo, and that's where he became an established artist. Then after that, he changed himself again to adult contemporary because he was established. He was worldwide. That song, you cannot be a #1 Billboard chart for how many months and not be a worldwide artist and not popular. He never had a #1 Billboard.
I don't know. I know a lot of people, Reasonable Doubt moved them, and that's where he gained a lot of fans, and that came before Hard Not Like. Now, commercial success. Commercial success is different, and we're not talking about commercial success, because I never once discussed commercial success in this, because to me, commercial success doesn't deem you an artist or not, or it doesn't really speak to your personal style and what I get from you as an artist. It just means that for different reasons, like a song could be a commercial hit because of who you collaborated with it on, or the beat, or the sample that's used that touches a bunch of different people or something. And so, you know, there are songs that were commercially successful for artists that I personally don't like, and I don't think that's not my favorite. That's not my style. Like, that's not my, how do I say it? Like, that's not how I identify that artist, but I see what they did. I see what you did there with that. Like, and that's part of your feast, like what you put on the table for us. And so I like that. I'll take a bit of that, whatever. But I don't think it means you flip-flop, because you give different flavors and you give different styles, and you find yourself early out in your career. And I think that's all a part of, yeah, but I don't think it's yeah. Anyway, I think we just see things a little differently. But I hear what you're saying, and I respect your opinion. But I think we just see things different. I just gotta end by.
I just don't know how. My whole thing is, I just don't know how you can't see that me singing, then me being a speed rapper, and then me being a sing J, having the clown was like, ain't no nigga like the one I got. Nobody does. Like, is that him now? Was that
but
him?
That wasn't even that was not his verses.
Like,
that's chorus. Like, I think you keep going back to his you keep going back to the chorus of songs, and you keep representing the songs with the chorus of songs. Whereas when I remember back to the verses, he was rhyming on those. He wasn't.
But I'm just talking about the whole style of what he came out on.
No, but I'm not talking about that, because I think, to me, production and songs and style play into the time.
I'm only talking about delivery. I said that a couple times. I said I'm not talking about songs. I'm not talking.
But you can't. You talking about delivery, but then you keep when you speak about the songs and you use them, you reference the chorus.
Yes, I'm referencing.
I mean, and even on Hard Knock Life, the chorus of that particular track was not even his voice. So it's kind of like, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't like. But when I listen to his verses,
talking about the style and delivery that came out was totally different from the style.
Okay, and to me, when I think back to the albums, and I have a few of those old ones, and I'm gonna listen back, and I'm gonna ask if I could get the hits from the album, if someone can make a compilation or something like that, to see how that goes, and we'll see does this man sound like the same artist that has just kind of.
You know what? The funny thing is that you have two guys. I can't speak for Nettie, but I think he even said, yeah, you know what? He reinvented himself so he can make money in the time.
And I would.
He reinvented himself 4 times. Yeah. The delivery is totally different than what it was now. Over the last 5 albums, he's been or 4 albums, he's been the same rapper.
Yeah.
Yes. But before, when he started his career, his middle career to the last 4 albums have been totally different. He's come out on total different styles with total different flows.
I agree with that.
If you're a speed rapper and then you're a sing J, then that right in itself shows that he's different.
And I would like to hear. Anyway, we'll touch on this again. We'll touch on this again.
My phone's about to die.
Because well, we're closing up now, because I'm going to let everybody know that I'm sure Vex plays some Jay-Z, so you can, and old and new, because they do play old school, new school, hip hop, R&B, and so listen there. And if you want to hear your favorite Jay-Z song, whether it's an old track, new track, or any artist that happens to be your flavor, you can call into the request line, which is 1-877-469-3016. Request your track, and you can also send a shout out. So the same number, 1-877-469-3016. Choose option 1 for shout outs, choose option 2 for requests. And if you missed the top of the show because it ended up being a long one, even though I thought it was going to be a shorter show. But yeah, the wedding, I don't know, wedding advice, wedding killers, haters. I don't know what to call this one. How we started this show. It is available as a podcast on most of the podcast players, and so whichever one you listen to, just search Cake with Kersi or Vex Radio, and you'll find it that way. And
anybody listening is invited to Kersi's wedding whenever it comes. Make sure you show up 45 minutes late.
You're late already, honey. Just joking. No, because hey, whatever. If anybody listen, like you were saying, Kinetic, if you know the people, you know your people, then you know your people, and so act accordingly. So,
you should know, yeah.
But anyway, remind everybody how to find you guys, how to stalk y'all.
Nettie.
I'm on Instagram. This number 2, nycephotography.com. Sorry, 2 Nice Photography on Instagram, 2nicephotography.com for the website, and Facebook is Neddy Nice, NEDDYNYCE.
As usual, just a place to get me the messages on Instagram at iKinetic with the number 100. Just that simple.
And Cake with Kersi on Instagram and Twitter. So follow, and we'll be back next Tuesday, 9 p.m. right here on vexradio.com. Thanks for listening tonight. And yeah, enjoy. I was going to say enjoy your 4th of July, but actually it's after midnight, so it's kind of over as well. So anyway, later.
All right.